I better not be muted. I'll be disappointed if I am.
I'll check the news viewer real quick. Oh, you know what I haven't done?
What's that?
No big deal. I just need to bring up all the
What
news
have you not done,
topics.
Brian?
I forgot to tab all
Oh
the
shit!
news topics.
Crap. Yeah. Okay.
But no, it's fine. I can do this pretty easily without changing.
Yeah, I need to do it as well so I can see what we're talking about. Okay, hold on.
Just when I thought that we didn't forget anything, that we were totally prepared.
Yeah,
And
not
then
prepared.
this happens.
Not prepared. We're too excited talking about new stuff. That's what it is. Talking about new ideas, new opportunities.
Okay. Thankfully, our news doc isn't freaking outrageous today.
Yeah, it's a good sized.
Only have to open like 20 topics instead of like 100.
Yeah, it's all those GMK interest checks that seem to have died out because there's no new colorways available. Yeah. Everyone's made every colorway option available.
This community's crazy, man.
Crazy. This is unusual. No one's in chat yet.
It's kind of scary.
It is scary.
And before Top Clack is dead now. Top Clack doesn't exist anymore.
TC is irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah. Who said that? Someone said that not that long ago. Maybe it was Krellbit.
Yeah, probably.
Someone was like, imagine TC still being relevant. I was like, we literally cover weekly topics. Like, how does it get any less relevant than that? I don't know, man. I just work here.
Yeah. But we are doing new things to keep it more relevant. That's the thing. And I see actually one of the people I'm going to be keeping it more relevant with is in chat. So cannot hear Jay. Okay, so they can't hear me. Brian, you've got me muted.
That is probably bullshit. Talk again. No, I'm getting your audio. This is totally fine.
Nebulance winding us up.
Freaking trolls, man. I'm over here trying to make sure things go right. And you guys...
Is my volume okay, guys? Because Nebulance says I'm quiet, so...
yeah, well, Nebulance says a lot of things.
No, so UPass is agreeing that I am a little bit quieter, but not massively so. It's fine here, seriously? Okay, cool. Okay. So what I was going to say before Nebulant rudely interrupted us there to say that I was muted is that we are doing new stuff, and Brian and I were just having a bit of a laugh about something I'm going to be doing on Sunday with the one and only Mr Keebs, who is in chat, F Curry himself. He's going to be joining me on Sunday on stream because we're going to play Top Trumps, and we're kind of hoping that you guys can kind of help us come up with a bit of a name for this. So effectively what we're going to do is we're going to get together and we're going to kind of pitch our keyboard collection or our top 5 favorite keyboards in our collection off against each other. So we're going to try and say this is why we like this board and try and play Top Trumps. And if you guys haven't ever played Top Trumps, it's a bit like a simplified version of Magic the Gathering, where you'd have old baseball cards in the original game, and what you would do is you'd pick like a batting average or a run average or some other statistic that your player had on that particular card, and you'd play it off against other people's cards to try and beat them and win their card. But we're thinking of turning this into a mini series, and Brian and I were just literally spitballing before the show about how we could do things like this and have scoreboards up there and stuff like that. Mr. Keebs says it's going to be my top 5 TMO 50s. Yeah, I've only got one, but yeah, we'll see if the TMO 50 makes the cut. We'll see. So we're going to play that on Sunday on stream, and we're going to have a bit of fun with that. But what we'd like you guys to do is try and help us come up with a bit of a name for it, because we might have different guests playing for different things. It might be keycaps one week or switches another week, or Brian had some other good ideas which I'm not ready to share just yet about what else we could do with it as well, which would be quite cool. And then we'd have kind of like you guys voting for who wins each round instead of us picking, and make it really interactive with chat.
Heck yeah. Let me know if Jay's volume is any better. I did turn him up a little bit, so I can turn him up a little bit more if necessary as well.
Yeah, turn me up, Danny. Turn me up.
I mean, you sound
Mr. Munich says,
but
Jay, did you or do you play Magic? Do you know what? I never did actually, but I know Brian did. So
I used to play a lot of Magic. I used to go to tournaments. I played.
Wow.
I played for years throughout middle school and high school. Turn up, off, of on. What? Turn up, of on. I don't know what that means. J sounds fine. I mean,
no, I think he means turn up or on. I think he means or on. In other words, did you turn me up or did you turn me on? That's what he was saying.
Oh my gosh.
No comment. No comment.
No comment.
J sounds fine. Thank you, Sam.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
I'll leave him at that volume. I mean, a couple people were genuinely complaining that you were low, so I...
You have adjusted me. Thank you.
Yeah, I turned you up a couple decibels.
He's adjusted me nicely, guys. Right. 69 Georga 69 as well. This is quite a late night stream for me, 2 a.m. Yep, same here, dude. It is 2 a.m. for me. I'm in the UK, so it's really late for me as well. But you know, gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Swag Manor asked if anyone ordered a Model O, which I think is that new glorious Master Race mouse or whatever.
Oh yes, I have seen that. Yeah,
I've seen it. It looks nice. I haven't ordered one. I'm in the market for a new mouse, but I think I want to go wireless on my next one.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of see. I want to invest in one, but I'm just not sure what I want to go with yet.
MX Master Race, because that's the best mouse on the market. IMO.
Oh,
okay. Fake Walker saying, Jay, you're looking cute as fuck. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that, dude. It's 2 a.m, so I've had a nap and I've just got out of bed and I literally got out of bed and crashed onto the stream with Brian. So yeah.
Swag also asking if we are only interested in high-level mechanical keyboards or also high-level mice. I'm not really into the PC and peripheral game as much as I used to be. I used to be really, really, really into it before keyboards, but now that I'm this deep into keyboards and that, you know, we do top clack like this, pretty much all my time goes to keyboards now, so I don't really keep up with mice or other peripherals anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I think I like a good mouse, but it needs to be... I haven't found anything better than the Logitech MX Master 2 at the minute. That's just kind of like... I don't game much, though, so I think if I gamed, it might be a little bit different. I probably want something wired, maybe, rather than wireless. I don't know if wireless has improved enough for gaming just yet, but yeah.
Jay never about enough. What?
Oh,
I'm just gonna
want more Jay. Clearly,
I'm just pretty much gonna turn you up to the max and see what people say.
Cool. That sounds good.
What could go wrong?
My dulcet tones will put everyone to sleep more than likely.
Okay. If that volume isn't good enough, I don't really know what else to do.
Hello. Any big announcements this show? Yeah, maybe. We'll see when we get to the announcement section. We'll see. Can we get some reverb on Jay?
Some reverb? Oh, man. I could probably do that, but I don't know if I could do it like right here on the spot.
We don't need reverb.
How do you know?
Jay Shuff gifting a tier 1 sub to... what's that? Minanits?
Mina Nits, I think. I don't know.
Mina Nits.
I always say Mina Nits.
We appreciate it. It sounds like a unit of some time. Does that Mina Nits? It sounds like a unit like centimeters or something else. But I don't know what it'd be a unit for. Mina Nits. Jay is now like at 70% of Brian's volume. I think I'm maxed out on the volume. Unless Brian's got me turned down in Discord chat, which might be the case. That's the only other place he could raise my volume, I think.
I mean, in theory, I could raise your volume more, but like to me, so like the stream hears what my audio is picking up, like what my headphones is picking up. So like whatever I hear, they hear. And if it's really loud for me, it's probably gonna be really loud for them. And right now, to me, you're already quite loud.
Right.
Like, if we weren't streaming right now and we were just talking, I would not have you as loud as I have you right now.
Fair enough. I think Nebulant's having us on a bit. I think that's what's happening.
Maybe a little bit. Geo says it's pretty level. Dixie says they sound exactly the same to me. Okay, I'm not going to mess with it anymore then. In theory, we're exactly the same. We're both at the exact same level in OBS right now.
Yeah. I'm sorry if it's not quite right, Nebulant. I do apologise. Everyone else seems like it's fine, so we'll go with it for now.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And there's the bot ping. The bot has pinged.
the bot pinged 7 minutes ago. The bot pinged like 2 minutes after we went live. They've been on it lately, I've noticed.
Oh yeah, the notification I got was for Artisan Talk, not for thingy. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
wow,
that's pretty crazy. Okay. All right. Well, let me roll an intro and we will get this party started, guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Top Clack. I am your host, Quakums, joined, as always, with my co-host, Jay, the lovely British keyboard enthusiast that most of you probably know and love. Some of you, maybe not quite as much, but, that's...
Yes, it's more than love. They know me, they just don't love me. Jay, I see where that's going.
Yeah. Jay's really high risk, high reward, guys.
High risk, high reward. Wow. I'm not sure if that's an insult or a compliment. I don't know how to take that.
Yes, exactly. So, as usual, we're gonna start out with a little bit of a mail call, as is tradition. We're gonna roll into some announcements. Then we're going to go through our news doc, which is a little bit shorter lately than it has been in the past, as well as a Q&A at the end of the show, as always, just to round things out. So that is your little bit of a schedule for today, guys, as usual.
Absolutely. Yep. It might not be as packed as it usually is, but it's going to be a fun chat. I think there's lots of interesting things to talk about, even if there's not a lot of things to talk about.
Even if there's not 13 GMK interest checks today, how are we going to make it through the show without 30 GMK interest checks?
I genuinely suspect that all of the potential possible colorways have now been expunged from the community because someone's tried to come up with the IC for them all. So I think we're now waiting for new colors to be invented before we see more GMK ICs.
Yeah, maybe the keyboard community is just so good that we will just create more colors.
Yeah. We'll create more colors. We just need GMK Handabite. Yeah, Chaotic Engineering. I would genuinely, I really want Handabite. I'm hoping that does actually get to run at some point, rather than just being a failed group buy every time it tries. Yeah,
good old Handabite. All right, let's talk about some of the things that we got in this week, Jay. We'll start with you. What kind of fun stuff did you pick up?
I got quite a lot of stuff actually this week. It's been quite good and bad, but we'll get on to the bad first. So the first thing I've got this week is I picked up a set of GMK Carbon. I already had a set of this, but I picked up another set because a friend was selling it and it was a great price, so I picked up that, GMK Carbon Round 1. I also finally got my Triangle Lab TR60. I'll briefly open this and show on stream. Now, the reason why I've been waiting much longer than most people for TR60 is because I wanted the Bluetooth version. So that finally shipped last week and came today. So I've got it in this nice blue colour, so the HHKB version, which is quite nice. Integrated plate. We'll see how it goes. We'll get it built on stream in a couple of weeks, I think. As well as that, I also got some other e-sets. We'll start off with the first of those, if I don't drop everything over, which is GMK Plum. So I know a lot of people don't like Plum, and it doesn't fit the original renders, but I actually really like the way the set looks, so there's that as well. Again, that came from the same person I bought Carbon R1 off of. It was a fantastic price. It was 150 quid for 2 GMK sets. So thank you very much, Ross, for selling me at those prices. Yeah, which is like $185 for 2 GMK sets. So I could not turn that down when he offered them to me. It was like, yes, buy. Where do I send the money as quick as possible? So he was just super duper nice and let me have them both really dirt cheap. So I was, thank you, Ross. Big thumbs up. Really happy with that. And then from a group buy perspective, I finally got GMK Deep Space. So this turned up earlier on in the week as well. And as you can see, this box art is absolutely lovely.
Was that from the group buy run, or did you buy an extra?
No, this was from Originative, so this was actually from the group buy run. I think I joined within the first 7 minutes of it being live. I was like waiting for it to go live to buy it. So that turned up yesterday. I have it on the JO1, so if anyone hasn't seen, there's pictures of that on our Instagram account. So you can go and check that out.
I ordered one of the extras from Originative like a week ago now, and it still hasn't shown up. And I'm a little bummed I haven't gotten tracking at all for it. So.
there's quite a few people who haven't got tracking for the group buy sets yet as well. So there's people who
okay.
the group buy that haven't. So I think it will happen. It's just waiting time. And then the final thing that turned up, which I'm actually really disappointed with, and I'll cover on the build stream whenever I do that because it's one of those things. But is the Doro 67. So whilst this looks like a really nice boxing experience and things like that, it's a lovely box. The board that's come isn't exactly what I was hoping it would be, and there is some significant issues with it. So yeah, so I've reached out to 80 Ultraman, but yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed on that at the minute. So sad day. And that's everything. That's all I've got. Yeah.
Okay. Well, mine isn't quite as lengthy as yours, but I still got a few things, including but not limited to a new. I should have taken this out of the bubble wrap. Got a new H87A PCB. So this is actually going to be for my Kepler. This one is nice. Tested. It was broken off by someone that didn't wreck the trace like I did with mine. So that's the replacement there. However, I did send my previous configuration to Heinebusch to test out, and he did fix it.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, it did turn up that it was me that messed up, and I just kind of broke the trace, I guess, a little bit. And you know, that is what it is. But he was able to fix it. He's sending that back to me. That is with the carbon fiber plate. And they also sent me a new copper plate, which is pretty cool. So I have a new, what appears to be sandblasted or something, copper plate, which is pretty awesome. It looks really nice. This one is actually by Laser Boost. They did a little small private run of these for the Kepler people, I think, and I'm pretty excited to use this.
Nice.
So I have a new piece.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah, so I'll have two PCBs and two plates for the Kepler. So I have two configs I can swap in and out. Really looking forward to that. That's going to be pretty exciting. I'm not sure what switches I want to put in there yet, but I'm thinking tactile.
Yeah, tactile for the matte plate, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I got that. And I got some lube brushes. Try to buy some lube brushes every now and then. Everyone always asks me. I get PMs actually pretty frequently about what lube brush I like to use. I get these on Amazon. They're a little more expensive than you might otherwise pay for the cheaper ones. These are like $5 a piece. These are the Princeton Select spotters. I like this style a lot, and this is the 5/0 size. That's my preferred size for switch lubing. So
nice.
There is that, and I think that's actually all I got. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Moaleek, thank you very much for the tier 1 sub. That's a 12-month streak. Thank you very much. We genuinely appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know if we missed it earlier. Langlandia gifted 5 tier 1 subs to the community.
Oh wow, yeah, I did miss that. Yeah, wow, thank you very much. That means a lot. Thank you.
Heck yeah, thank you so
huge.
much.
Yeah.
And
guys, if you got a sub from Langlandia, give them a shout out in chat. Thank you very much, dude. We appreciate those.
Heck yeah,
that's really nice.
And Cows in Art Class, which is a great username by the way, donates 300 bits. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate that.
There we go. And Singapore as well, just subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yep.
And Captain Schwar as well. 21-month streak. I think that's the first we've seen. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, dude. Tier 1 sub. And he says T3 boys.
T3. T3.
I don't know what that refers to, but he says T3.
Now I'm gonna have to.
21-month streak.
That's I think he was actually the very first Top Clack subscriber, right after we got our affiliate. Yeah,
he's saying T minus 3 to 2 years. Yeah, I think that was saying T minus 3 months. Yeah, T minus 3 boys. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Heck
it's 2 a.m. It's late for me.
No, it's 6:10 p.m. Jay, and
no, it's 2:10 a.m.
We also missed a sub from Mwalig, I think is how it's pronounced, for 12 months in a row. Thank you so much, Finn. Appreciate this, guys. All right. Let's talk about a couple announcements before we get into our news doc. As usual, 24-hour stream is still coming, still planning. We're kind of waiting on our new designer to get back to us with some final designs and assets, so we can kind of just visually overhaul and refresh everything, and then we can move on to the finalizing of the 24-hour stream. So it is still coming, guys. It's taking longer than we had hoped, but you know it is what it is. But
we'll get
it is coming, and it's going to be freaking awesome.
We will get that, and as Brian says, we are waiting just on a few bits in terms of graphics and designs and all of that kind of stuff. And we'll, you know, it's better if we do everything all at once. We kind of have all that new kind of look and feel for the show and all of that, and we build that into the 24-hour stream. So we're just waiting to tie that all together. And as soon as we've got a firm date for it, we will share that as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. The next thing we have on announcements is something I just talked about very briefly at the beginning of the show. So this Sunday, instead of doing a standard build stream, I'm going to be linking up with Mr Keebs himself, F Curry, and we're going to do a bit of a top trump show. And we're reaching out to you guys as well because we need help in coming up with a name for this segment. So what we're going to do is we're going to play. If none of you played top trumps before, effectively what it was is back in the day you get things like baseball cards, and you would look at what different batting averages players would have. So you might have two different players, and whoever had the better batting average might win, or you might pick a different statistic. It might be whoever had the most runs or whatever else. And whoever won basically got to keep that card and stuff like that. Well, we're not playing for keyboard keeps, but what we are going to do is we're going to play to see who wins in the eyes of the community. So what we're going to do is we're going to get on stream. You're going to have both me and Mr. Keebs next to each other. We're going to show our top 5 favourite boards. We're going to have 5 rounds in the show where we show our 5 favourite keyboards. We're going to try and sell chat on who's got the best keyboard in each round. You guys are going to vote, and you guys are going to tell us who wins each round. And then we're going to see who wins the show at the end as well. And the cool thing that Brian came up with just before the show is we're going to turn this into a little bit of a mini-series. We're going to try and do it once a month where we get a different guest on each time. We have a slightly different topic. It might be key sets one week, it might be switches another week, or vintage boards, or whatever else we want to pick as the go-to topic. And we're going to do it as kind of TC versus the community. So how many times can we win between Brian and I as Top Clack versus the rest of the community and the guests that we have on as well. So we're going to try and turn it into a little bit of a competition. So we are looking to you guys to help us come up with a name for this this segment and what we can badge it as. At the minute, we've got some very simplistic ideas, but I won't give you those suggestions. But it is kind of a top trumps kind of keyboard versus TC versus the community kind of thing. So if you guys can come up with a name, I might try and dig out a small prize for the winner, and we'll announce that on Sunday. So if you've got any ideas, do tag us in chat or in the Discord.
I love Twitch chat sometimes. Cows in art class says if it's a mini series, then HBO is bound to pick it up. And then, which is amazing. And then Pilot XJ says call it Clacking Off, which I think is an amazing name.
Clacking Off, yeah.
Clacking Off.
Dixie says try to top Clack. Well, I'm not sure that. What's that? That's to see.
5. Yeah. I people come up with some great names, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to put it to a Google form or whatever, and people can enter and make it like a little giveaway or something.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll get a form up on the Discord straight after the show. I'll do that as soon as we finish the show today, guys. We'll leave it open for 48 hours, and then we'll pick the winner before I go live on Sunday. So that will be 8 p.m. my time, which is 3 p.m. If you're on the East Coast, and it's 12 noon if you're on the West Coast. Me and Mr. Keebs will be live and sharing what we think are our top 5 boards in our collections right now. So be there or be square. It's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a really fun interactive stream. And as I say, I'll dig out a small giveaway prize for whoever comes up with the name for the series. So there we go.
Heck yeah. Also, quickly, Swag Manor gifted a tier 1 sub to 69George69, and Mr. Keebs gifted a tier 1 sub to Z2OS. So thank you very much for the gifted subs.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
The top is Clack.
The top is Clack. That's not bad.
That's pretty good. Bad. I really like Clacking Off. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's quite good. Clack Attack is quite good as well, but I don't think it fits. I like Clack Attack as maybe for something else, but yeah. We'll set up a form, guys, and we'll get the link in the Discord, and we'll put that in the announcements channel straight after the show. So yeah, we'll take a look at that and see what you guys can come up with. And then the final thing that we've got to announce is, well, for some people it'd be good, and some people might be a little bit disappointed by this, but I am going to Seattle Meetup. I will be coming. My flights are booked. The tickets are all booked. Brian is helping sort out the accommodation. He's putting me up for a couple of nights. And I'm going to be at the Seattle Meetup, guys. So I will be flying over from America. To America, sorry. We're going to have to do a live show while I'm there, so I'm going to come over the day before the show that week. Brian and I need to work out how we're going to do the show with both of us being around, but we'll work through that. And yeah, then we're going to be at the meetup on the Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be hype, guys. It's going to be.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it.
I feel like this is going to be the best Seattle meetup that has actually.
Of course it is. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're so amazing, and you're bringing over so much awesomeness and culture.
Some British class.
Exactly, because we don't have any of that in America. We have like no class at all. So You know, you're gonna raise the bar just by being in the country. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll see.
Yep. All right, cool. And that is going to be it for our announcements. Let's talk about some keyboard news, shall we, everyone?
Sounds good. What have we got first, Brian?
So first up, we have the new Ramaworks M6-C. So this is the third iteration in his kind of M6 series. There's been an M6A, M6B, and M6C. I actually have an M6A right here. It's a nice little macro pad. I like it quite a bit. And this one has a few alterations from the ones in the past. So first off, you'll notice this one's actually cheaper. This one comes in at sub $100, whereas the previous two versions have been over $100, if I'm not mistaken. And you have a few different color options for you. They're sticking with kind of their more recent colors they've been using a lot lately. So the Kuro, which is black, the Moon, which is gray, Milk, which is white, and Haze, which is kind of like a matte purple. It's quite really gorgeous. Nice. Yeah, I like it quite a bit. A couple things you might also notice on this. The bottom is actually not metal this time. So previously they did use metal bottoms, brass bottoms, whatever. Here we actually have silicone, which I think is probably what helps drop the price down a little bit. But what's cool is not only that, that's going to kind of replace your bump-ons, basically. So instead of having like bump-ons, on the first iteration, you kind of have, I'm showing it off right now, he kind of has this this ring that goes alongside it, which is really elegant and it's really nice and it's very effective. But to get the price down here, I think the silicone bottom is a really cool idea because that's gonna, it's gonna keep traction on your desk. It's not gonna slide all over the place. And in true Rama fashion, all of his new stuff is getting these new kind of torque screws that he has specially done for him, which is kind of nice. Really cool. Yeah. So this is pretty cool. So the finish is bead blasted anodized aluminum. It does use USB-C. The plate is integrated. There is going to be in-switch RGB LED just like the M6B had. It is KL hot swap socket compatible, and the PCB can be programmed via QMK or VIA, and it comes with like everything you need, like including all the screws, the hardware, the tools. That's really nice. I don't know if this one comes with a carrying case. I know the original ones came with a pretty awesome carrying case that I have somewhere, but I'm not going to search for it.
It doesn't mention it in the... Yeah, it doesn't mention it, so I would assume that might not be there to keep the price down, potentially. Is this the first one that's been USB-C as well, or were the previous ones USB-C?
They've all been USB-C, yeah.
Okay. One thing I've never owned is a Rama macro pad. I've never had one, so it's interesting to see that. But I do like the idea of the solid silicone base.
You came into Top Clack a little too late, otherwise you could have had one of these cool M6A brass Top Clack Blue editions.
Damn.
It's like a one of three, and I treasure it. It's amazing. Never leaves my side.
Damn.
Anyways, back on topic. One thing you might also notice about this, which is kind of interesting, are the new keycaps. So this is actually a new profile that's going to be exclusive to Rama.
Yeah.
We are going to talk a little bit more about this later on in our news doc, because there is a separate listing for the cap sets alone. So we're going to talk more about that in a little bit, guys. But do keep an eye on that, because new keycaps, they look pretty cool too.
Interesting. Yeah. Any new profile is always worth talking about. So we'll pick that up shortly. I think this looks great. I think the milk or the haze ones are my probably two favorite colors out of these. They look great.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to upgrade my Ocelot and pick one of these up.
Yeah. I mean, at $100,
that's a good price.
That's pretty good. Yeah. And it comes with everything too. You got the new Torx fasteners. You got. Oh, sorry. My air conditioner is beeping at me. My apologies, guys. Okay, thank you, air conditioner. So
it has stopped.
So yeah, but I mean, it comes with everything you need. It comes with the tools. It comes with the caps, the switches. It comes with a cable. It's an all-encompassing thing. So Rama likes to make it a little bit easier on people and just kind of include as much as you possibly can, so people don't have to source a bunch of different things elsewhere. And I really like that. He kind of has a good train of thought on that.
Yeah. No, it looks really good. I think these look stunning. I've always liked the design aesthetic of them and the look and feel. I think having that solid silicone base probably makes me more inclined to pick one up than just having that ring. But yeah, I'm really tempted by this. I think it looks great.
Yep. So the pre-order on this closes June 20th. So you got almost a month left on this. You got plenty of time, guys. So that is pretty cool. All right, tell us about our next topic, Jay.
Okay, so next up we have got the new. Well, I say the new. It's not. It's technically round 2 of the Noxay T60. So this is designed by Zondat. It's a tray mount system, but it is only 4 posts. So instead of having the whole kind of posts all over across the board, left to right, on this particular design, he's only got 4 posts in there, which adds to a more flexible feel in the middle of the board. Now, I do have one of the round 1 of these. I think there was only 10 or 15 of the round 1 ones, and this is a bit more of an extended group buy. So these are available to join at the minute. It's a great price, $135, so cheaper than R1 as well, because there's more units available, so the price is dropping down a little bit as well, which is great to see. And it's available in 2 different colours, lightning silver or hyper red. Just in terms of the specs, just to run through a couple of these, it's a one-piece case design, so it is tray mount, so you do slot the PCB into it from the top, and it's just got the 4 posts, as I mentioned, to give that flexibility across the middle of the board as you're typing. 8-degree base angle, same as most of Zondat's boards, and 16.5mm front height, which, as far as I know, is the lowest height at the front for any tray mount board that is currently on the market as well. So it is really, really low at the front. You can't get much lower than that. I think there's a couple of more changes from round 1. Zondat hasn't listed those on here, but I think there's some slight design tweaks in terms of reducing that height and how the bezels and everything else work as well. It's slightly different, I think. But yeah, this is a really great price. It's a really nice little board. Brian, I know you've been trying out my T60 for an extended period of time now because I shipped it to you months ago. But I think this is for a decent tray mount case. If you like a flexible typing feel, and you've already got a build that you want to drop in, I think this is a good product.
Yeah, no, this
especially in those red and silver colors.
Yeah, for sure, this is one of, if not the best typing experiences on a tray mount I've ever had.
Sure.
Currently, I have it set up with a 1.5mm polycarbonate plate, just to try to give it a little bit of extra flex. I'm one of those people that likes a flexier typing experience, and it really shows here. You actually do get a fair amount of flex with that type of plate material, at least. I haven't really tried it with an aluminum plate or a brass plate or anything. Obviously, those are going to be a little bit more rigid and not quite give you as much flex, but polycarbonate, very strong but very flexible also, so... I've actually been really enjoying it as a typing experience. I really do think it is one of the best tray mounts you can buy. I'm glad to see it down to $135. I think that price becomes really attractive for something like this. The anodization quality on the one that you have is really, really nice. And it's actually pretty dense for a tray mount case too. Like it feels respectably
it's hefty.
heavy.
Yeah, it's solid. It's a lump of metal. And it does feel quality because of that. As you say, it is really nice. Yeah. Zondat's here in chat as well. Good timing. Yeah. So the only other thing to call out is there's a 3-month lead time on this. There are 20 units only of this one. Sadly, the blue-grey colour of the original run, which mine is in, which Brian's got at the minute, isn't available in this run. I do think that's a nicer colour personally, but I really like the red. I think if I was going to pick up another one, I'd definitely be looking at the red for this. So yeah, looks good.
Yep, absolutely. So be on the lookout for this, guys. That'll be opening tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is 2 p.m. Pacific. So that's probably going to go pretty quick too, because it's limited to only 20 units. So you got to make sure if you want one of these, you got to really be on the ball, guys. Yeah,
and if you're in the EU, that's 10 p.m. on the 24th of the 5th, or 11 p.m. if you're in wider Europe rather than just the UK. So do watch out for that, guys, if you're watching this on the VOD in the morning, because I know a lot of you EU guys do, but be aware that you might need to stay up a little bit later to try and grab that one when it goes live.
Yeah. Yep. Isn't that... that would be 10 p.m. on the 24th for you, right?
10 p.m. for me in the UK and 11 p.m. in the rest of Europe.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Alright, cool. Well, there you go, guys. Make sure you hop on this. I think it's a really good buy. The price is quite reasonable.
I think the price is great.
It's a good tray mount.
I think it was 160, I think, for the original
175, I want to say.
Was it? I can't remember.
I think it was 175.
Something like that.
165 or 175. Maybe I'm wrong.
So that says it was 145 for our one. Okay, so it was a little bit more expensive. Okay, so it was cheaper than we both thought. Good. Yeah.
All right, there you go. This one's still cheaper yet, so cool. Good stuff. Make sure to check that out if you're interested and hop on it, because it's going to go quick, I would imagine.
Yeah, but both Brian and I agree this is one of the nicer typing experience for tray mounts. And yeah, if you like that flexible feel, so do watch out for it, guys. Okay, what's next, Brian? What have we got up next?
So next up is the interest check for the 1800 Mini by I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but I'm gonna call it Ziqi, Xikii, probably Ziqi. Old Cat is posting the interest check here, but he's posting it on behalf of Ziqi, which is his first sentence there. We basically have no details on this. He drops like one specification and then a bunch of pictures, which I don't think these are renders. I think this is actually a prototype.
It's a prototype, yeah. I think so it is, yeah.
So pretty interesting. He does say this is going to be the round 2 version. So apparently a round of this has already ran. I wasn't aware of it. It might have been a China or other country exclusive. That's always a possibility. Sometimes we don't always get the round 1 of custom designs from China in the West.
Yeah.
So, but this for us out here in the West, this could effectively be the first time we see it here. But it is going to have an RGB dual mode PCB, so I'm assuming by that he means RGB underglow, probably not in switch, would be my guess. Dual mode meaning it can be USB or Bluetooth, that's generally what that means. So that'll be kind of cool to see, and that should be pretty effective considering he has the, I'm assuming this is polycarbonate base.
I think it is, yeah. It looks like a milled polycarbonate base with kind of like a metal plate that goes underneath it that you then add your bump-ons to. So it's an interesting design. I think that metal plate underneath is almost acts like a footrest as well when you look at it from the side angle. So it's an interesting design, 3-piece design.
Okay, some people are saying it was a Korean-only buy. Okay, my apologies.
Oh, Korea-only. Okay, yeah.
Regardless, I think the design is really cool. I think it's very fun. It's very inviting. It's very kind of fresh. I like the whole bottom plate system with kind of all these cutouts with the polycarbonate there. I think that should be pretty effective for the Bluetooth module.
Yeah, if you like underglow as well, that'll work quite well. I think it'll look good with that. It's interesting why there's 2 ports on the back of the keyboard. I'm not sure I saw why it had 2 ports.
I think that's a switch for the Bluetooth.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, that makes sense. Switch for the Bluetooth, or you can have it wired as well. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that this does remind me of, and I built this on stream last week, is the rain in terms of the layout. It's very, very similar. So
it is.
Just show that there. It's very similar to the Rain M3 layout, apart from this has got a wing-keyless blocker version. So it's interesting. I think it looks great though. As you say though, that whole bottom design is quite interesting. If you like underglow, if you want to use the Bluetooth module, it could be great. A little travel board for those that need it for office requirements as well.
Yeah, I wish the corners were a little sharper. I feel like that would help accentuate this whole bottom design a little bit more, but I'm no designer. I think it looks good either way. Layout, for me, pretty unusable, but, I gotta have punctuation. I can't just cut off the alphas there with the mod section over here where I'm pointing right now. That just doesn't really work for me personally, but I know a lot of people have been into these kind of more exotic sub 60% layouts. I guess you could argue this is 60% or even more than 60%. I know a lot of people were, potentially giving you crap about the Rain. I saw a couple comments where people were like, "That's a 65%." It's like, well, hold on. Like, what? I mean, percentage. First off, percentage system is stupid. By the way,
it is.
Let's just start by saying that. But
and if you are going to call it anything, it's technically it's a non-standard layout, 65% with numpad included in the percent. And I agree with Brian on this, that the percentage system is it's a very silly way of trying to argue what size boards are and stuff like that. The only size it really works on is agreed for is 60%. Everything else is kind of fair game when it comes to the percentage system. So I don't like using it at all. But it was, the Rain was very much inspired by 40% and 1800, and that's the designer's words, not mine, guys. So I did get some crap for that, but yeah. Oh well. I back to this board though. I really like this. I like the foot system. I think that's quite nice. The way that the foot sits on the bottom and acts as a bottom plate gives some. I do really.
Yeah. Looks pretty good. Hopefully we'll get some more information on it soon. This is obviously a fairly early interest check, but they do have a physical prototype, so they kind of have an idea of where this is going to go. I'm curious why we didn't get more specs. Like, if they have a physical prototype, obviously they know all the specs that they're going for here and what they're going to be changing or not. I feel like it's kind of a fail to not include some kind of details here. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if it's R2, I think it'd be nice to see a little bit more. from there. But yeah, okay, yeah, it is what it is. It looks nice enough. We'll see how it goes when it gets.
Yeah, it'll probably reach group buy. This seems like a board that's going to be popular enough too. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on to our next one, which is another interest check, also posted by Old Cat on behalf of someone else. This one on behalf of Demo Studios and Gray Studios. That's Air Potter, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So this is the interest check for the ARC 80, a gasket mount TKL keyboard by Debo and Air Potter, which is kind of interesting. I want to first talk about the ARC moniker, because obviously a lot of people that are in the know, maybe around the Top Clack Discord you've seen, or other places, AIO3, a popular designer in the community, is also doing a keyboard under the name ARC, and it's not a TKL, but I don't think there's any kind of like controversy or crossover here with the naming scheme. I think it's kind of just a coincidence, if I'm not mistaken. I think he has cleared that up publicly. So totally different from AIO3's ARC project, but this is the ARC 80. It is going to be gasket mount, they say. Here's another dual mode PCB, so USB Type-C plus Bluetooth. Premium quality aluminum 6063. I don't know if that's premium quality. That's pretty much the standard aluminum that most people use in our community. So that could just be a little bit of a buzzword there. Continuing the tradition, the Gray Studio tradition, top quality and affordable. It's relatively true. They tend to make pretty affordable boards. Some of them are fairly nice. And Gray Studios is going to be the one manufacturing this. So pretty interesting.
So, I mean, AirPod's products are usually pretty good quality. I know a lot of people waiting for the Space 65 at the minute, so I think that'll be the first big test of his production capabilities. So we'll see how that goes and reserve judgment until then on that side of it. What do you think to the to this board, Brian? Because I think for me there's kind of a lot of interesting design aesthetics on this board, and whilst I'm not usually a TKL fan, I think I'm not a fan of some of the aspects on this board. Like, I'm not sure I like that coloured tab that runs across the top of the board. I'm not sure I'm keen on that. It feels like it's very reminiscent of the canoe lip that sits across the top of the board and then has tabs but in a different place. I'm not sure if I like that implementation personally, but what I do like is the side profile of the board where it has the RGB shining out the side from that centralized slot that runs down the length of the width of the board. That's really, really nice. And I do like that back angle at the rear of the board as well, on the base piece too. So just a couple of thoughts from me on that. But what do you think, Brian?
I think I feel pretty much similarly to you on this, although I think I like the kind of top accent a little bit more.
Okay.
I think that's actually pretty cool. We don't see that quite often. It is on the canoe, sort of. That was the first, when I first saw this, the canoe was the first thing I thought of. And personally, I like it on the canoe, and I kind of feel similarly about it on this. I like that as well. I like the side profile. Mountain Blocks in chat says, "Is that crevice lit?" Yes, that is a lit crevice, boys and girls.
This is what a crevice should look like, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, this probably doesn't take 236 LEDs to accomplish. Also,
no, it probably doesn't. Yeah, brighter than this.
I think it's pretty nice, actually. I'm not in love with it, but again, we see a lot of these Eastern designers and factories kind of pushing designs that are, really unlike anything that we see from Western designers, and I like that. Whether it's going to be good or bad, I like just throwing caution to the wind and trying new things that could go over really, really well or really, really poorly, and you just never know. I'm relatively neutral on this one, but I think it looks pretty good. I would consider joining this group buy.
I think I would like it more if it didn't have that Demo Studio badge. I think it's not the band of colour necessarily that bothers me, it's that placement of the Demo Studio badge. It looks very added on at the end. It seems like an afterthought. It seems, like it's just tacked in place rather than it's actually had thought about the placement. I think I'd prefer to see it where the ARC 80 logo is something like ARC 80, then underneath that kind of light strip and indicator LED that had Demo Studios engraved in the metal under there. I think I prefer that than where it is on that badge. And if they just had that colour bar across the top and had that bit, there's the grey undertone or the tabbed metal underneath, I think I prefer it. But again, that's just my personal preference. I think I'm just slightly, and other people are free to disagree with me on that. I think it's just my personal preference on that. I'm not keen on that particular badge piece.
Yeah. Conversely, I think two things that could be successful to have this badge piece be cool is, One, let people have their own engraving on it or whatever. Maybe do a custom engraving on that. So instead of, if you don't want Demo Studio, you can have your username or something else, Arcade, whatever. Sure. Also, I think it would be cool. I don't know if they thought of this, but maybe have a little cutout on the metal right under the badge where there's an RGB LED. So one thing that I really like, one thing I really like about the Gray Studios HB85 is they have, I think it's like 5 RGB LEDs under the top left acrylic badge, and you can just set them to like cycle back and forth, and it looks really, really fun and cool. I like it a lot. Yeah. And I would like to see something similarly done here, where you can kind of make that look a little bit more flashy of a piece, so it doesn't quite feel as afterthoughty, I guess.
So what you're saying, Brian, is you want another crevice just underneath the badge to add some brightness to it.
Yes, if we learned anything from last week's stream, Mo crevice equals Mo beta.
Yeah, Mo crevice, please. Yeah, we need an email that says that, Mo crevice.
Yeah, all right. Well, once we make Twitch partner, we're gonna crank out some custom crevice.
Yeah, custom crevices, guys. That's gonna be the plan. Custom crevices. Yeah, I'm interested to see more pictures of the actual prototype, because I know that Oldcat does mention in the post somewhere that there is a first prototype that's been made. So I'd like to see some pictures of that and see exactly how it is. But I think you're right. If the badge is customizable in any way, shape, or form, that would make it a little bit more appealing to me.
Yep, cool. All right, so we'll look forward to seeing that when it hits group by phase. Let's move on to the interest check for the Bumper, a 60% keyboard case. This is by John at Zap, which I think, I'm going to go ahead and assume, go out on a limb here, that this is Zap Cables, the same John. So
yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think you're right.
Hopefully that's true, and we don't look too stupid by saying that. But regardless, this is his new design, the Bumper, which is a 60% tray mount case, coming in at around $200. We have 7 degrees of angle. It weighs 1.8 kilograms, which is about 4 pounds. You can get the case in either aluminum or polycarbonate. These little side pieces here are interchangeable. He calls them flippers. You can get those in aluminum, polycarbonate, or brass, so that way you can add a little bit of weight or maybe have a little extra flair, depending on what you're kind of interested in. The MOQ is going to be set at 50, and has an ETA of early summer. There isn't going to be a PCB or a plate included currently. That's the plan. But it does come with all your tools and hardware that you will need to actually build the case, as well as screws for the PCB plate assembly, even though it doesn't include one. So that's nice.
Oh, excellent. That's good. Yeah. I think for me, this is quite interesting, because it's like a 60% case you can drop any 60% build that you've got into. I kind of like it. To me, this is reminiscent of kind of the CA66 style design, having that whole rounded front edge and rear edge. I kind of like that. No pen rail on this one, but everyone knows how I feel about a pen rail. But I think this looks quite nice. I like the fact that the sides are interchangeable. You can kind of have a bit of fun with it. You can put clear ones on if you want to use LEDs and underglow, or you can put solid ones on there. I think there's brass ones, brass flippers available as well. So it's an interesting design. It's very unique in this kind of style. We haven't seen a tray mount case that fits this design aesthetic before, and I think it's only the second case that fits this kind of whole curved design that we've seen in the CA66 reminiscent type board. So I think this is really interesting. I think this will do quite well. I think a lot of people like this because it's really simple. It's nice and easy to understand. There's there's nothing overly complex or overly flashy about it. It's just a really nice, simple case. I think if I was going to get one, I would probably go for the polycarbonate one. I think that looks really nice with the brass pieces and alchemy on it. I think that looks really good. One of the other things that is really nice as well is that he says that he's going to allow the files to be downloaded. So if you want to 3D print your own flippers or have some produced separately, those files are going to be readily available, so you can do that as well, which is a really nice little extra touch. You'll be able to make your own or have someone make them for you, which would be good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. He does have a physical prototype. I always love seeing interest checks with physical prototypes, and he has an array of pictures here as well. So I like seeing that. I think the design is pretty solid. For what you get, it seems like the price is pretty reasonable as well. I like the idea of the interchangeable flippers. So you can have, like you mentioned, you can do the polycarb if you want, some RGB lighting effects going on there. Maybe since this doesn't have a weight per se, you can do the brass options. That'll obviously give you even more weight to go along with that. And I like the fact that it does come in either aluminum or polycarbonate. So lots of fun options here. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, just in terms of some specs, because I think we skipped over them, but total weight is about 1.8 kg. The typing angle is 7 degrees. Options for the materials are aluminium or polycarbonate. And the material options for the flippers are aluminium, polycarbonate, or brass in various different colours. And the coating, interesting enough, is going to be Cerakote and not anodization. So lots of really colours as well.
That's cool. More people moving away from anodization in our community because it's inconsistent.
Yeah, so, I think it's the right move ultimately in time. I think we'll see a lot more, and I think we'll probably see a lot more of the modern coating methods that are used in other industries start to be picked up in the community as well. So yeah, we need to have a look at this.
Yeah, pretty happy about this. Looks pretty cool. I might try to get in on this as well.
Yeah, I think I'll probably end up buying one of these. I think it'd be a nice little 60% just case to travel around with as well. It looks good. I see that John Zap is in chat as well. One thing that would interest me on this one is rather than just having the standard 60% mount point, actually, is if it could copy the 4-point post mounting method we've seen in the Noxay T60 that we looked at earlier on today, and other boards such as the one from Cable Car Designs, which I've forgotten the name of, but that had the Profit, I think it was, that had the 4-point mounting system as well. I think that's probably going to be the next big innovation in terms of tray mount boards, especially in the 60% form factor. So it'd be interesting to see if those options will be available to have them removed as well.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much always the best way to do tray mount now. After trying, I think that the 6 post is kind of just not as good. It feels a little too harsh at times because you're typing right into standoffs, and it's a little inconsistent too because these 2 posts aren't as symmetrical as the 4 outer posts. They're kind of just they feel like they're a little randomly paced. And this is not a shot at John and Zap, of course. This is just the way that we have the universal 60% tray mount standard right now.
It's a standard, right? Yeah.
Just because it's a standard doesn't mean it's good. And we got to remember stuff like that moving forward. I really do think that either removing the 2 center mount posts entirely is the correct way to go about it, but if you must have them, make them flush with the bottom and add standoffs, so that way the people and just add additional standoffs that are optional. So that way if people want to use all 6 post mounts or 5 post mounts or whatever, they can, but don't force people into it just because, you know, it really is just a way nicer typing experience. It feels better and it sounds better when you just have the 4 outer posts.
It is, and I tend to prefer a firmer typing experience to what you do, Brian. And I know you prefer a more flexible typing experience, but even what I found after using the T60 and the board from Max with the 4-point.
Jay, you cut off. Are you muted on Discord? You're not coming through on Discord anymore. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. I can see you talking, but I know you're not talking. Just when I thought things were going right in the show. Jay, please. Oh, is Discord down?
Oh, yeah, okay, so it wouldn't let me come back up. Can you hear me now, dude?
I can, yes.
Okay, wow. Don't know what happened there, but Discord kept giving me messages saying it couldn't connect me to voice chat there. So,
the
apologies.
RTC or whatever?
Yeah. But I'm back. So, apologies there.
Sorry about that,
where did I get to when it cut off? Oh, yes, consistency. I don't know if you guys heard before. So what I was saying is... just to roll back a little bit, is Brian prefers a softer typing experience to what I do. I tend to prefer a firmer typing experience. But what I found after using other 4-point mounting systems on tray mount boards, 60% ones, is that consistency across the board is more important to me than that firm feel. And with the tray mount using the standard 6 points, what you tend to find is the bottom left area of the keyboard where there are fewer mount points is less firm than the right side is, and that kind of throws you off when typing a little bit. But what you get where you remove those 2 posts in the center is very much a more consistent feel across the keyboard. And even if you prefer a firmer type of feel or you prefer a softer one, what most people do prefer subconsciously without realizing is consistency across the board. So that is far more important, I think, sometimes than whether it's a firm or soft mount. And even if you're using something like a brass plate with this, which is going to be really rigid anyway, or a carbon fiber one, which is going to be really rigid, you're going to have more consistency across the board, and it's also going to make that sound more consistent as well, because you're going to have a different sound profile where you've got a mounting point underneath the key to where you don't. So I think removing those two middle posts on any 60% tray mount board going forward is definitely the way to go.
Yep, I completely agree. Just like I said earlier, just because it's the standard doesn't make it good. But the cool thing here is you can do something really easy and just not have those two posts. And it makes it doesn't change people needing abnormal things. You can still use standard equipment, standard PCBs, standard plates, what have you, and you just get a better feel and a better sound without really any extra work.
Yeah. So I hope, John at Zap, you actually caught that in the end. I had to explain it twice. Discord challenges, technology, please. But yeah, I think that's definitely the way forward.
Yep.
The only other bit of feedback I've got on this particular board is the cutouts on the sides where the flippers go for the LEDs. It's kind of like two cutouts, two oval shapes, in different sizes. I guess my question on that is, why isn't it just one cutout all the way across and round one loop rather than two sections? Just given the fact that you're not putting any pressure on those side pieces, I can't imagine it's to do with rigidity of the typing feel. Unless it's rigidity of the board, I'm not sure on the polycarbonate versions. But I'd do one big crevice rather than two smaller crevices. If it was me, the crevice meme continues.
You would, Jay. That's exactly how you would feel.
I love a big crevice. What can I say?
I love two smaller crevices, Jay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, despite popular belief. So I do agree with you on that. I think if that were cut out, it would also make LED underglow a little bit more consistent on those sides.
That's literally the reason why I'm thinking of it. Yeah. That's the reason why I'm thinking of it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we'll have to wait and see on this. I imagine this is coming relatively soon since he has a physical prototype.
Yeah. So John, I know you're in chat. If you've got any dates on this, just share them in chat, because we're both quite interested in this one. We both really like it.
Crevices. That's right, boys. That's right. All right, let's move on to our next.
Can we get a crevices in chat, please?
Yeah, seriously, we need a crevice emote.
We do need a crevice emote. Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to our next topic, which is a group buy for the Rukia. This is the polycarbonate version. If you guys aren't familiar with the Rukia, I'm going to try to find a better picture because he doesn't have any on the actual thread here. Here we go. So basically, this is like a TGR Alice alternative, I guess you could call it. This is a non-aluminum version. This version is going to be in polycarbonate, the one that we're talking about now. But it's effectively an Alice, a TGR Alice. It does use pretty much the same files, same top mount plate files, same PCB files. It's practically an Alice.
The thing we should call out here as well is that he does have permission from TGR keyboards to run this. So it's not something that's been done, ad hoc or as a copy or a clone or anything like that. He does have permission to run this. TGR did share the actual plate files for the board and gave Jax complete permission to design a board around that resembled the Alice. So just to be clear on this one, it's not something that's going against the original designer's rules or anything like that. So no need to be negative on that side. Because I know sometimes the community can jump on stuff like that. Yeah. But the case is different. So whilst it's based on the original plate files for the Alice, the case design around there, while it's very reminiscent of the Alice, is unique to this particular board. It's slightly different design, which means that stuff like anyone who's got existing Alice wrist rests and things like that, they won't work with this particular board as well. So it's just something to bear in mind as well, guys.
Yep. Absolutely. So this is kind of a multi-person project here. The plates are going to be done by 159 over at Project Keyboard. They're going to be available in either carbon fiber or polycarbonate. The PCB is designed by Upas of Canon Keys. So, multiple people in this project already. It's going to feature an ARM processor, USB-C, and it's going to be programmable with QMK, which is pretty cool. RGB backlighting. I'm assuming that means RGB underglow.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm assuming. Backlighting is a really misleading term. I feel like generally when people say backlight, they mean like per switch, per key lighting. But I do believe he means underglow here, mainly because right before that he says full LED support. So obviously you can install your own LEDs if you want switch LEDs. He is confirming in chat it's underglow. So yeah, I would change that wording to underglow personally. But that's just me.
I think it's best to have that clarity. I think you're right. Yeah. It's also worth calling out as well that if the demand is there might be a mini group buy for brass and/or Alps compatible plates as well. So if people do want those, you can ask for those at the time, and that might be something that happens. So it would be interesting to see. I think an Alps Alice would be quite interesting. I'd be
definitely
quite interested in that personally. In terms of the projected timeline, he's hoping to do this within 90 days, which seems incredibly quick. So I'm hoping that it's as quick as he plans on being. That's a really quick turnaround time of a month and a half. But the cost for the kit is $390, which includes the case, the PCB, the plate, the PVD brass weight, screws, and bump-ons. But what it doesn't include is shipping, and invoices will be sent after final QC has been completed, which seems to be fairly standard across a lot of group buys now anyway. There we go.
Yep, so that is the polycarb version, guys, but it is worth noting that there is going to be the UHMW version, which is launching today after the show at 9 p.m. Pacific. So just over 2 hours away from now, the UHMW version is going to open. And we talked about this not too long ago on the show when this came out about a month ago. It's a different type of plastic. It's a very, very durable, very dense plastic. I imagine in terms of keyboards, it's probably going to be relatively similar to Palm, or at least that's kind of what I'm hoping for, because I've been really impressed with Palm. So hopefully it's like that or better.
I think it's even more dense than Palm. When I was looking at some of the charts with Nebula in voice chat a couple of weeks ago about this. So I think it's slightly more dense, but it's going to be interesting to see what that's like as an actual build, and it comes in two colors, black or white. So I'm really interested to see what that more sounds like than what it feels like in terms of the weight. I think it's just going to feel like plastic, and the weight's not going to be massively different. But in terms of the sound, that could be very, very different, because we know there's a big difference between POM and polycarbonate, for example. Both sound great in their own right, but there is a very big difference in terms of sound profile. So as we said, the first version that we covered earlier on is the polycarbonate version.
Okay, I think we actually got this wrong a little bit. So people in chat, I think, are correcting us. So even though this is, the goal is to do UHMW, it looks like the group buy that is opening after the show at 9 p.m. Pacific time is the polycarbonate version, and the UHMW version is not projected by any timeline right now. I think it's kind of a misleading interest check. But I think that's correct. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought that it was the same way as you did, Brian, as well. So yeah, if people are correct, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. So just in terms of the group buy then itself, it's limited to 50 boards. It's because it wants to try and keep the quality high as well as it can do. Half the slots are going to be first come first serve, and the remainder of the slots are going to be raffled off to the rest of the entries. Yeah. There we go.
Cool. Yeah, so make sure you're on top of that. That goes live in just over 2 hours, guys. So hop in on that if you're into that.
Cool. What's up next, then, bro?
Donkey Kong Killscreen says, not misleading if you read. I don't know how to read, so maybe that's
what's reading.
That's my problem. Yeah. What? I don't know how to.
We don't learn how to read in Britain. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh well. Next up, we have the pre-order for the 2019 version of the Klippe. I think it's how it's properly pronounced. I'm not Norwegian, so my accent is obviously going to be terrible on that.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with that. Yeah.
But this is the newest iteration. We have seen a couple other iterations in the past. This is effectively just a tray mount case. He's been doing this one for a little bit of a while now, but he does have a couple minor design changes in terms of the actual art. I wish he had more pictures.
Sadly there isn't any. There's a couple of different colours, but there's not more pictures as such. But just in terms of the changes, there's a few, but they're not great images. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So in terms of the changes, there's some revisions to the USB port that is now smaller and a little bit neater. There is also a revised logo, which Brian was showing off just a second ago. Instead of having the Mechanisk logo, it's now just going to have the whole mountains range kind of logo, which is really nice and a little bit more subtle. And as well as that, he's also got a bit of a new anodization process as well. So they're going to be trying to improve the anodization quality. Because it's going to be even finer than before, because it's going to do some really nice sandblasting prior to the anode process, which will help remove hook marks and other complaints that people have had from previous rounds. But the big change on this, Brian, is the price. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think that's going to be what is going to attract people the most. In the past, the Klippe has always gone for around $180, and there was a Klippe Plus version, I think that went for a little bit more, maybe 190, maybe 200, somewhere in that range. And that one actually featured like a little brass. It was very small, so I kind of want to call it an accent, but I guess you could argue it is a brass weight. We saw that I think in 2018. But here we have the all-new version, and this is down to $120, so it's much more palatable as a tray mount case. A lot of people were a little upset that the Klippe was originally at 180 or more. People were like, well, it's in a world where tray mount is starting to become not necessarily obsolete, but a lot less used and a lot less favored by people. I think that having the lower price is going to really help attract people into this. Just like on previous tray mount cases, like the bumper that we were talking about earlier, I would like to see these two middle mounts removed personally, and maybe these support ridges on the top taken off as well. This all kind of attributes to a really firm, harsh typing experience, which some people are into. But I think, generally speaking, people prefer a slightly more soft typing experience, but also a more consistent typing experience. So I would personally like to see those removed, and I'm probably going to say that about every single tray mount case that I speak of from now on until the end of time. So just get used to hearing me say that whenever we talk about tray mount cases.
I think I agree, and I think we covered it quite well on the on the previous board that we talked about the bumper. One thing I would say on this one though is whilst it is firmer, what those two little notches do on the rear of the case is they do add the stability and more consistency across the board, which is one of this board's big selling points historically. Than what you got on the standard 60% mount, because you had those big vast areas where there were no mounts and you'd have more flexibility there, and those did add much needed stability to the 60% format. But as we said on the bumper board, and as Brian just so eloquently articulated there, I think the future of 60% tray mount is removing those two middle standoffs and having no other supports, just using the four, two to the left and two to the right, that 4-point mounting system to go forwards. That seems to be very much the winning way, and then you can customize how firm or soft that is by your plate material choice instead of the actual case itself.
Yeah, exactly. I do have one of the originals, one of the first runs of Klippe. He was nice enough to send me that like 2 years ago. I still have it. I still use it. It's a really nice product. I like it quite a bit. It's really hefty too. It's like,
I was going to say,
it's surprisingly dense. Compared to most other tray mount. Like, people are like, remember when the tofu first came out, the tray mount tofu? People are like, why get a Klippe when you can just get a tofu? And I'm like, man, they look kind of similar, but like that's about it. That's about it. Trust me.
The weight and sound is very different.
Yeah, because at one point I had both of them. I don't have the tofu anymore, but I had both of them, and I would compare them side by side because people kept asking me about it. And I'm like, man, the sound is a lot nicer and a lot more consistent on the Klippe, and it's a lot denser of a case. It's way heavier than the tofu. So because of all that extra metal, you get a lot less sound leakage. The tofu, is really good for the price. It's only like $80, but it sounds kind of cheap when you type on it too. Like, you get that kind of maybe not subpar experience, but it's just not as pleasurable as something like the Klippe when you type on it.
Sure.
So now, to have it closer to the price of the tofu, within about 50%, I think the tofu is still like $80 or $90 or something. To have this at $120, this becomes a lot more attractive of a piece, in my opinion. Whereas before, at $180, it's a little harder to recommend.
Yeah, I think I agree broadly on that. Again, it is a very hefty board, as you said there, compared to some other competitor boards. It's well designed, it sounds good, and that price is a lot more competitive than it's ever been before. So, really excited to see how this pans out going forwards.
Yeah, I also just want to make note of, I'm gonna try to find it on this page, because he did have it. Okay, so we did have the Klippe 2019 limited edition available. So this was the all brass version. I just wanted to touch on it. It is sold out. I think there was only 10 units. Yeah, limited 10 cases, and it was at $240. But it was the all brass version, which is pretty ridiculous. And he I don't know how accurate this is, but he claims it is approximately 3 times the weight of a Klippe, which is like 2.5 or 3 pounds, which is, you know, over a kilogram. So to have this be like 3+ kilograms for just the tray mount brass Klippe is really high. Yeah. So I kind of wish I would have gotten one of these. I actually, if these were available when I woke up today or whenever they were, I think they were launched like really early this morning or like last night or something like that. If these would have been available when I woke up, I would have gotten one of these.
Yeah. At $240, I think if I'd have known that was going to run, I would have grabbed one as well. Yeah. I'm really upset that I didn't grab one now. Actually, now you mentioned, I didn't even know there was going to be a brass version. So yeah, But I'm sad that I missed out on that.
I'm sad I missed out on that. Hopefully there'll be more of those so we can get one, because that'd be pretty awesome. One thing I do want to mention though is, where else do you find a $25 brass plate?
Nowhere.
Because he has $25 brass plates right now, and I don't know if that's just kind of you know, because he's running it alongside the Klippe, but that is a cheap brass plate.
Yeah, and especially in the fact that you can pick these up in not true fixed layout, but you can pick up the ISO or the ANSI versions of this, so that whilst they aren't fixed, the bottom row is still quite open. There's other customizable options. They're not true universal plates either. There's literally the ANSI or the ISO layout as well. So I think the fact that you've got both of those options and it's only $25 and it's mirror polished brass, I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty attractive.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Now we just gotta wait on the Fjell Pro.
Yeah, soon, maybe, hopefully.
Micro arc oxidation available. What year is this?
Mao.
I'm not a fan of Mao.
Ultramarine.
The Ultramarine.
No, it's something similar.
Yeah, the Ultramarine looks amazing. Mao is a joke.
Really nice.
When it comes to the keyboard world, in my opinion, I do not like the Mao, and I'm glad, you know, the other versions are cheaper than the Mao.
Just to touch on that as well, when we didn't have white options for anodization and electrophoresis and all of those other kinds of things, Mao was the best option we had at the time if you wanted something close to a whiteboard, although it's not actually white, it's kind of pale grey. It was the closest we had for a long time. So, you know, it deserves its place in the history of the community, but you're absolutely right that in the modern day, I think Mao is not an acceptable level of quality or robustness for the community going forward.
It's awful. I swear it's so fragile that it like dents and stains just by existing. You don't even have to touch it.
Your fingerprints can.
I put it in the closet and I don't touch it, and then it's still like it gets damaged somehow, like just by air. It's awful. It's awful. Sorry.
I've got 2 Mao boards, and one of them actually has an engraved fingerprint from my thumb because I must have picked it up too hard, which just is bizarre. It's just so soft, his Mao finish.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely prefer the other.
Let's get away from Mao, guys. Nobody uses Mao anymore. It's more expensive and it's lower quality. Just electrophoresis. You do the E-white coating or Cerakote or powder coat. I think they're all cheaper options than actually doing Mao. Mao sounds cool because saying micro arc oxidation is a really cool term. It makes it sound like you know something's fancy, right? And then you get it and you're like, this is bullshit. So
this isn't good. Yeah, where's the quality gone? Yeah. So yeah. I think as a community we should move away from it. But it did have its place in the community back in the day when that was the only option available.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. All right,
so
let's move on.
Moving away from keyboards then, and onto something a little bit different, we're going to start to talk about key sets, and more specifically, key profiles. So why don't you tell us about this offering, Brian?
Yeah, so remember earlier in the show on our first topic when I said we'd come back to this and talk about these keycaps? Well, that is now. So he does have, he's calling it the Grid Set A. This is presumably a uniform profile. And I'm going to try to get a good angle on one of these pictures so you can see it is very spherical. This looks super comfy for your fingers, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to come in a bunch of different colors, so he's trying to color match, basically, with all the products that he currently has existing. That way, if you want to, you know, more accurately either contrast or match some of the Rama products that you already have, you can. So he's going for Kuro, Moon, Milk, Haze, Yolk, which is a new yellow. Then he also has Pantone matches for green, orange, and red, as well as Iced, which is kind of like a clear translucent red that I picture of right here. I think this is really interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the look of these keycaps is very interesting as well. And as you say, that spherical profile on top, that very spherical profile on top, is going to be quite interesting to see how that feels from a typing experience. Now, what is interesting as well is that at the moment there's only 1U and 2U keycaps available. So if you buy a single color kit, you get 62 keycaps, you get 60 1U keycaps, and you get 2U keycaps, which are available. If you buy the mixed set, you can get up to 108 caps. He says it's 10 times 1U of each color and 2 times 2U of each color that you get available in there. So that turns out to be 108 keycaps in total, which does mean it's got limited compatibility. It's not going to fill out a lot of your boards. You're not going to have 1.75, 1.25 more space bars, things like that. But it is going to cover a lot of other boards such as ergo boards and a lot of the ortholinear boards, that's the word I'm looking for, sorry. Yeah, it's going to cover a lot of the ortholinear boards and things like that as well. So it is an interesting aspect, but if you do want to put it on a larger board or any of Rama's other offerings, you're probably going to have to look at substituting maybe just your alphas to try these out, something like that.
Yeah,
but I think they look great, to be honest. As a keycap, it looks really interesting. It's
injected molded polycarbonate, which is pretty interesting. And the price seems really nice. I did reach out to him a couple days ago just to try to get more information on this, because I thought it was pretty interesting and you guys might be interested in this. So I did hit him up and I was like, hey, like, what's the deal? Like, this was before the material was listed and he had less options. And I was like, hey, what's the deal? What's the material? Are you gonna be running this in other keycap keycap sizes so we can actually get like full sets of this? And he said, that is definitely a possibility. So I think he's hopefully kind of pushing that way. That way we can just straight up get like a new profile entirely. Otherwise, this is maybe a little bit more meant for not only ortholinear boards, but stuff like the M6A and B and the M6-C that's currently running alongside this. Those M6-Cs that are currently running already come with these caps, so you already get caps to fit that as well. But the price is pretty reasonable. I mean, for $36, you get 62 caps, and for $59, you get 108 caps. So you could pay $60, get the mix set, and have enough for like 2 ortholinear boards. That's pretty good value. Like, if you're in that situation, that's pretty good value.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be vomit kind of look and feel, but it's a great way to try these caps kind of cheaply. Or if you wanted to split that and share with a friend, you could both pick up effectively enough to cover an ortholinear board together by buying just one kit, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the price on these is more than fair, to be honest with you.
I think I'm gonna take a look at the Pantone for the orange so I can see a little bit better, but I think I want to get a set of the orange to go along with my orange Prionic that I don't have caps for.
Okay, yeah.
So I think I might do something like that, because I mean it's pretty cheap. You spend $36, like, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, so. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I'm interested to see how these look, how they feel, what other keys Rama has in store for this. If he does move on to 1.25, 1.5, and all the other sizes that we need for different caps as well. I'm interested to try these out. I think I'm definitely going to have to pick up them as well. And the other thing as well, which I think Chat's just alluding to as well, is how will polycarbonate keycaps sound? Because most keycaps we have these days are either ABS or PBT. There's PPS keycaps out there as well, but we don't really have keycaps in many other materials. So seeing how these sound might be quite interesting too.
I'm certainly going to pick up a set of these to try out, and hopefully we can get some good feedback on that. In true Rama fashion, the name of this is pretty boring. RWLPA, which I'm assuming stands for Ramaworks Low Profile A.
Yeah.
I love Rama, and I love a lot of things that he does, but man, his naming scheme is... It leaves a little to be desired for me. I get it. From like
it's very technical.
It's very technical. It's very organized, and I do respect that. But like, it doesn't get me as hyped for the products, Like when a product has like a really baller name, like I feel like I get into it a little bit more. Maybe I'm just weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I get that. I get that. I kind of like that whole kind of naming system because it means it's got structure and organization in the background, and I like that kind of stuff.
It's incredibly efficient. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, hopefully we'll have a little bit more of an update on these in the near future. The pre-order for this also ends on June 20th, just like the M6-C that we covered earlier. So you can, maybe pick up either. I'm not sure when these are going to ship. I don't think there's an estimate, but hopefully it won't take terribly long, because I want to try these out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to pick up a set either way, just to give them a try. I think
yeah, it's cheap enough to where, like, even if we don't like them, it's kind of like whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's just good enough to try. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
So someone's saying, it's Langalandia saying, Jay is so British it hurts. Okay, thanks. But speaking of Langalandia, we have got the interest checkup next for GMK Cafe. So this is by far and away not the first coffee-based themed key set that we've seen, but it's quite possibly one of the nicest that we've seen. This is an interest check for GMK Cafe, as I just said. This uses a few different colours to try and evoke those coffee themes. Also tried to get the brown Livia out of the way as well. I see that the comparison and contrast to GMK Livia has been done already, because people were commenting that it looks kind of similar. I wonder if Dixie was involved in that conversation.
I really like this joke in the community.
It's
because
a good joke,
this is obviously not the first time we've seen this. People are like, oh, this just looks like GMK Olivia, even on sets that don't look like GMK Olivia. So I know Dixie started putting comparisons to GMK Olivia, like, for like a bunch of his sets now, even sets that aren't even remotely similar, like 8008 and stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I want to see that joke continue, because it's subtly funny and it doesn't really hurt anyone.
Yeah, so someone even did it on SA Troubled Minds, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, because that's purple and green, which is so far removed from Olivia that you could ever get, which is really good. Yeah. But looking at the set, this is different shades of browns and creams to kind of really evoke that coffee feel. There's a number of different boards that this is shown on over a variety of colours, and do you know what? This set works on pretty much anything. You can pair it with a bright blue, you can pair it with a white, you can pair it with a dark grey or a brassy colour. It seems to work with a lot of different sets. There's a lot of compatibility in the kits as well, which is laid out really nicely. And the first thing I've got to say before we even get any further is this IC is really, really good. It's laid out really nicely. There's a ton of renders in there. There's a ton of kit breakdowns. There's some really good naming novelties. There's box art in there. There's potential swag options in there. There's all sorts of stuff within this interest check. So first and foremost, I just want to say this is really good interest check. But I think that this looks really, really good.
This has got to be one of the best interest checks I've ever seen.
It's so good.
Go down to the special thanks section. The first thing on the list, my muse, coffee, the bitter liquid that provides the only semblance of pleasure left in these dark times. This is just fantastic. I think it's an amazing looking set.
That reaches out to me on an emotional level, not just a physical level. What does this look like? It reaches out to me right in the feels.
It's relatable,
right? That's my morning. Yeah, it's like you've just described every morning I ever have. That it's not a good morning unless I get a good
the theme is great. There's a ton of info. He pays homage to like everything that you possibly need to. Tons of renders across several different boards. I love seeing boards we see things like on the 910 and the Jane and the Alice so often. I love seeing boards that maybe aren't quite as popular, like the Satisfaction 75, the Brutal 60. We don't see the M65 even that often anymore. The Dharma, it's great. I think this is about as good as an interest check can get.
I would agree. So just starting to talk about the set then itself. So in terms of breaking it down, there's a few different kits. So there's the base kit, which is called With Cream, which is a great name for the kit. Lots of compatibility in there. It does issue the numpad and ISO and other things that we'll get to in a second. But right from the very top, you've got TKL 60% support if you want to go different bottom rows of Sangan support and everything in there. Different options for your spacebar if you want to go mod or alpha colored. And pretty much all the the compatibility you need for every layout. HHKB 65%, different arrow options. It's all there, including accented keys for the escape and the ANSI enter. Breaking things down a little bit further, if you do need numpad compatibility, or if you need ISO compatibility as well, such as myself, there is the sugar kit for that, which adds a little bit of sweetness to the deal. You can build on the base kit and add that functionality. And really big shout as well, because there's actually an ISO render on the Jane V2, which is something we don't see very often. So thank you very much for that. I didn't go unnoticed if that was the case.
I even noticed it, and I have an honest user.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There we go. There's the black kit as well, which I'll come back to in a second, but there's also the extra shots kit as well, which will just give you that spacebar compatibility for the base kit as well, if you need any different size spacebars, or if you actually want to go with the accent color spacebar as well. There's also the special blends kit, which gives different functionality and layouts and 40s and ortho support and everything else, and a few different text-based icons and things in there as well. But just going back to the black kit, so if you don't like the whole white alpha keys and you want to change that up a little bit, you can pick up the black kit, which it only does this for the 60% version. It only changes the alphas for the actual main board. If you want to use ISO, the black kit doesn't support that. If you want to use a numpad, the black kit doesn't support that either. I don't know if that's by design or by omission, but that's quite key to know that it only supports the standard ANSI 60% kit does the black option. But Brian, one thing I did notice that you might want to talk about is right in that base kit, right at the very bottom of that base kit. What do you see? Because I know you're going to like these as much as I do.
Okay, so I was actually just getting to that. So in this, there are cup and bean novelties. I am imagining these are placeholders because I think they're actually supposed to be real novelties, not text novelties. So. Because if you look at some of these renders, I'm trying to find one. Here we go. This is a good one. So there are two novelties, presumably. There's one that is a little cup here, and there's one that are like two little beans. These are nice. These are good novelties. They're very tasteful. They're not too busy. They're not overdone. They go well with the theme of the set. I like seeing this quite a bit.
Those bean novelties are absolutely amazing. I think they're absolutely fantastic.
This has to be one of the best novelties on any set I've ever seen. The beans in particular.
They're so well done.
The cup is nice, but we've seen that on other coffee themed key sets. It's there. It's kind of like the default. You kind of have to do it. But the beans, I like the beans.
Yeah. The other thing I really like as well is there's also already options for the box art, and I think one creative mind might have been behind this. I know he's been behind some of the bits and pieces for this as well. So I think that looks really good. Everyone has had that experience of having a coffee stain on something, that coffee ring off the bottom of your mug. I think it looks great, and honestly, I've got a bit of a sneaky feeling that this might be key set of the year when we get to Mech Madness next year. I think this is going to be a big hit this year.
Okay.
That's my current feeling. I like it that much that I think this is what we see.
I think the potential is definitely there. I don't want to say something like that yet because it's way too early to be saying that. I think
hot take.
But
I don't know, man. I don't know. Think about it, right? Everybody, this whole community thrives on keyboards, and a lot of people in the community are developers. They work with computers daily. Coffee is the lifeblood of this community, and if it's not coffee, it's alcohol. But we'll get on to that later. But everyone loves a good cup of coffee. You check any of the morning threads out on the Discord servers and chats and stuff. People are, just picked up a coffee. It's one of those things that's so ubiquitous across the whole community. Doesn't matter where you're from in the world. Most people love a good cup of coffee, and it's something that it's just so ephemeral to the way we live our lives lately that I think this is it's something we've been crying out for a while. And I know there's been other coffee-based sets and themes and stuff like that, but this is the first one that ties it all together in the best format and the best way. And honestly, I'm just blown away by how good this set looks in those renders. I think it looks great. I know it might be too early to say, but I've got a sneaky feeling this might be key set of the year. If this turns out as good as it looks in the renders, I'm going to be really happy.
Okay, I'm not going to be quite as nice and say that, but I think the potential is definitely there. This does have the potential to be a very, very, very high selling and popular set. And also, shout outs to whoever came up with the names for the kits. That shit doesn't go unnoticed. That gets me every time. With cream, sugar, black, extra shots, special blends, love that stuff. When you like really pour into the theme, see what I did there? When you really when you really pour into the theme here, I think it really gives it something extra special. It doesn't feel half-assed. It feels like you really thought this all the way through, and like you really took this to the level it needed to be.
Yeah, adding stuff in like that really sweetens the deal. It adds that bit of sweetener.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're channeling our inner Mech Merlin here. All right.
Yeah, we're both trying to do it. Yeah.
Even though we both love this set, we must move on to the next topic.
Yes. Speaking of which, is on.
Wait, hold on. There's still one more announcement you wanted to say about this, right? Something that isn't on the thread.
Sorry. Yes, actually, as well. So I was speaking to Langlandia earlier on, and they asked if I would announce. And I almost forget this, so thank you very much, Brian. Who the vendors were? So we were having a conversation about this earlier on. I did guess the vendors when we were discussing it, and it is going to run through Canon Keys and UPass in the US. And it's going to be mykeyboard.eu in the EU as well. So two really, really great vendors that we know and love. So yeah, I'm happy to see it run through those guys as well. So there you go. You heard it here first, guys. That's where it's going to run.
There you go. Yep. So be on the lookout for the group buy, which I'm hoping is coming soon, because I don't see what else more they need to do in this interest check before they just get things moving. This is already like as good as it gets, really. So.
A couple of tweaks. I think I know that Langalandia was talking about in chat. I think there's going to be some tweaks to the black kit just to add additional support for the ISO things and potentially numpad as well, depending on prices and stuff. I think it's just tweaks at this point onwards. But yeah, I think it must be really close now. But this is must buy. It's so high.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pass on this either. This is a must buy for me as well. We both agree this is a must buy. We need to.
Yeah.
I need to make a must buy stamp.
We need that stamp of approval.
A stamp and an emote. I can't wait to make Twitch partner. Approved. I cannot wait to make Twitch partner so we can get so many cool things going on.
Yeah. Top Clack approved. Yeah, we need a stamp that says exactly that.
But yeah, Canon Keys in the US, mykeyboard.eu over in the EU. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Top tier vendors. Yeah, really good choices there.
All right, let's move on to something that doesn't make us quite as happy.
Yeah. So this is another group buy through Drop, previously known as Massdrop, the store we all know and have used in the past. And this is for GMK Red Samurai, the Keycap set from Red Suns that we've seen previously. But this time it's a little bit different. So previously we saw a full-on GMK set with all sorts of different compatibility options, different kits and all of that kind of stuff. But this is a group buy for the same key set, but limited to just the layout that's available on a number of Massdrop boards. So depending on what boards you've had in the past from Massdrop, the Control, the Alt, the Shift, the Preonic and the Planck keyboards, and if you might have something else that is kind of compatible with those, these might fit for you as well if you have very similar layouts on those. That's what you can buy here. So you can buy a TKL kit, a 65% kit, an Ortho kit, or an 1800 kit, and that's broadly it. Depending on which kit you buy, there's different prices for these. There's very limited compatibility across these as well. There's kind of like only one option in each of these kits. There's not very many different layout choices that you've got. You can't do, for example, different bottom rows or different split backspace. There's no ISO support. It's very, very limited. There are a couple of novelties that are added into the mix as well. But it is very much limited to the Massdrop kind of layouts that we've seen on their boards, the Control, Alt, and Shift boards. Yeah. So what do you think about that, Brian?
It's nice, but it's also a bummer at the same time, right? When you're limited to that kind of compatibility, it's clear what they want to do here, right? You said it already. They're really trying to push their line of keyboards, which is the Control TKL, the Alt 65%, and the Shift 1800 style layout, as well as Planck and Prionic, which both pretty much constantly run on Massdrop. So they're really trying to push this to just be catered for their own line of boards and not really a whole lot else. Obviously, the other side of the argument is this does support standard TKL, this does support standard 60, and a lot of people do use that in the community.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of bittersweet, because now if these layouts actually appeal to you and these layouts work for you, then awesome, you can get a sub $100 GMK set and you can cover exactly what you need. For the rest of us, we're getting kind of shafted here. Like, I don't use only standard layouts.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think I know there's plans to run the key set again later on in its fuller format. And I think it did mention that in some of the conversation in the back end on this one. But I think I agree. I'd almost have liked to have preferred to have seen this run as an option alongside the rest of it. So you could have either had the standard base kit, or you could have had these kits if you wanted to just kind of drop that down and get a cheaper kit. And effectively what you'd be doing there is you'd be bolstering Massdrop sales of the alpha kits, for example, or certain mod kits. And I suspect there might have been a smarter way for them to do this, and to try and run the actual base kit or a variation thereof alongside these other additional kits, or come up with something a little bit different.
Why not just run a base kit? They're going to sell way more units if they run a base kit. We've already seen from the 2018 Mech Madness event that Red Samurai, one of the most popular key sets on the market, still to this day.
Yeah.
It placed like number 3, I think. It was right behind Olivia and Modern Dolch, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It placed really high up there. Units, base kits of this set go on the aftermarket for $300, $400, $500. Like, it's a popular set, guys. Like, if Massdrop's goal is to make money here, put out another base kit. Because then all the people that use their line of keyboards can still buy it, and then the people like us that use non-standard layouts don't get shafted.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the slight disappointment as well is you've only got the one choice of the alphas as well. Originally in the the original run there was 2 options. You could have either just the Arabic legends, the English legends, or you could have the joint Japanese legends as well.
Yeah.
This is just that secondary option. It's the sub legend version. So again, if you weren't into that kind of look and feel, you are limited again. But I agree, Brian. I think running the base kit would have been the better way to do this. And perhaps, as I say, if you have the base kit as the main thing, and they say, but if you only want the TKL kit, you can buy a TKL kit as a subset, or you can buy the 65% as a sub kit. I think that might have worked out better, and it might have bolstered the numbers for the base kit by saying that GMK could produce, 20% more alpha kits, for example, to lower the price for everyone. Probably a little bit more work logistically, but
yeah. I would love to see the back end numbers on this personally, to see like if this is actually a better approach for them than just releasing a full all-encompassing base kit like they normally do with GMK sets. Because I really feel like economically for everyone, this is like not really the way to go.
Yeah, I think you miss out on so much compatibility to get such a cheaper price that it's almost not worthwhile. I know we've seen experiments in it down with like kits like Hammond and Striker, and that's kind of where I see the bare minimum going, and this takes it one step further than that. And I think this is personally a step too far. But that's just my view.
In chat, I'm gonna point this out. Dr. Unconscionable. It says it's aimed at the people who are like, quote unquote, oh my god, how could you drop more than $100 on a key set, quote unquote. I totally get that. That is something is worth considering. Is this maybe a ploy to get GMK into people's hands for well under the $100 price point?
Maybe
it could be, and if you look at it from that way, it does seem relatively smart and potentially a good idea. But it's so hard.
Yeah,
man. It's so hard to see when such a popular in-demand set is being run again, but it's not really being run again.
Yeah, and I think Melodet and Dr. Unconscionable both expand on that. They say, if you've bought this keyboard, you can now buy this key set, and you don't need to worry about compatibility or anything else. You've got that keyboard, and this key set fits it, and you can just run it. And it's for that people that are in that whole kind of drop community where they probably have 1 or 2 boards from drop. They might have the one of their particular boards and they want to buy the kit. I do get that, but I think that's very much a subset of the community. I think the community is wider than that, and we should be more inclusive and more all-encompassing than that. We should try and be better than having these kind of almost. It almost feels like it's gate-kept. It almost feels like it's attempting to drive sales of their own boards.
Exactly.
And these key sets that they do. I'm not a fan of that kind of gatekeeping thing. As you said, Brian, I think I would like to see the numbers behind this, see if it works from a financial business model, which I'm sure it does. I'm sure it stacks up. But again, I think more openness and inclusiveness is where I'd like to see things.
I mean, but like, how many sets are these really going to? If they ran GMK Red Samurai base kit again, 1,000 units, easy, 1,000 units sold base kits, guaranteed. This probably not going to do quite as hot. But, I'm really looking forward to seeing the numbers. Also, Beadlocks in chat says, I do not agree with Drop taking GMK's resources for half sets like these. He's right. This is going to be taking up a slot in GMK's production queue line. That means the sets that we actually want, that we're actually going to be able to use and get a hold of, are going to be, pushed back a little bit more. And seeing how this is what, 4 months out right now? This has already been in queue for probably a month or two.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see how well it sells. I mean, I guess realistically, people are going to... The market for this is clearly the people who've bought the alt controller shift boards from Massdrop, right? That's who they're targeting here. That's who they're trying to sell to. How many of those boards have they sold, and how many people will actually want to buy an extended keycap set for those particular boards going forward from there? That's the kind of maximum limit of their market potential for this. And I suspect they're only going to hit a subset of that. But what they are going to do is miss out on the wider community piece as well. So I can see the positives and I can see the negatives. I think personally I'm more on the negative side of the camp with this, not liking it. I can see that it's probably a good thing for Massdrop. It's going to drive their sales and it's probably going to increase their revenue and all of those kinds of things as well. And it might get people more into the Massdrop ecosystem. But I'm not sure it's the right way for the community to start shaping stuff like this, because it is a very exclusive method of doing so. And we should be more about all inclusiveness on this hobby. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, and just like the good doctor there in chat says, I have very mixed feelings about it. I do too, man. I do too.
Yeah, I see there's some chat around 601 were already sold and things like that. I'm pretty sure that includes the original GMK Red Samurai key sets, because when this went up, it started at like 490 or something like that, or maybe even higher. So I think that includes the original run of the keycap set as well.
Yeah. So I don't know, for better or worse, whether this benefits you or maybe you're a little ticked off about it, like some of us. It could be good or bad depending on who you are, but it is. I think if you want it, there you go.
The proof's in the pudding with this kind of stuff. Let's see how it goes.
Discord just cut out again for you, Jay. Please. Oh my god. Sorry, guys. I swear, it's Discord's fault. I'm telling you. Hold on. Maybe we can do this a different way. Jay, can you hear me? I think it's Discord.
Can you hear me now, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Discord not liking you right now. Do you want to try audio and WebEx?
We'd have to dial in on phones. It doesn't.
Oh, is that how it works?
Audio. Yeah, it doesn't support computer audio, sadly. Yeah. So Discord is slightly frustrating in a minute. So I'm looking at it came up with a debug option. Looking at Discord's report page. Apparently, its international calls at the minute are struggling. So it could be to do with the server that we're on for that. That's causing the issue at the minute.
Darn it. Well, we'll just have to get through with it. We're coming up on the end of our news doc anyways, so...
Yeah, we'll be fine. Just a bit of a shout out to Cows and Outclass for the 200 bits. Thank you very much for that. Doctor and Constable as well, and a few other people saying, Jay, we lost you. I'm sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Blame Discord, don't blame us. We are at the limits of of the technology. Talisman Solutions saying I mentioned ISO one too many times.
They're just kicking you off. Yeah. The problem with doing a live show like this is not everything always goes as planned. We're at the mercy of things like Discord servers. We're at the mercy of things like OBS, wanting to screw us over, or internet and general internet things. Like it's just part of the risk when you do live shows like this. But hey, that's how it goes. We're gonna move on now. So that is the kind of half-assed Red Samurai set that is up on Massdrop right now. If anyone is interested in that, and you wanna, maybe stick with very standard layouts, I don't know. Let's move on to something that is slightly more positive.
Yeah, but before we do, UPass has just gifted 5 tier 1 subs to our community, so thank you very much for that. We genuinely appreciate all of your support and all of the subs. And I'm conscious that during the news doc, I think we've missed some other people's subs and things like that as well. So if we did miss you, we do apologise. Brian might be able to check those when we finish getting through our news doc, and we can probably get that historic data up and recover those. So I do apologise, guys, if we missed that.
Yeah, thank you very much, UPass. Appreciate that, my dude.
Okay, so moving on to the next topic, what do we have here?
So this is the group buy for 5mm polycarbonate tray mount plates by Zondat. So this is obviously timed quite well to kind of go alongside his group buy pre-order of the T60 that we talked about earlier. This is pretty cool though. I remember, so I do have Jay's version of the T60, which was a previous round of it, and it did actually come with a one of these plates, one of these 5mm polycarbonate plates. It
came with the prototype for this run. That's what it was. It was a prototype.
The prototype, yeah, and it was honestly pretty nice. It sounded pretty darn good. It felt pretty good. There was still a little bit of flex, but being 5mm, obviously it's going to be a little bit stiffer, a little bit more rigid. But there's still a little bit of flex there. But this is pretty cool. So let's talk about 5mm plates for a second, because I feel like that was kind of a thing in 2018, and it kind of just came and went, and like nobody cared about it anymore.
To some extent I'd agree. I think people who preferred a firmer typing experience, like on the Zephyr, which had a thick 5mm brass plate, I think people liked it there. And I think there was a couple of integrated boards that had 5mm or 4.5mm thick integrated plates as well. I think the community kind of moved over quite quickly to softer feel typing experiences, like we talked about earlier on today as well. So I think that was kind of like it was a bit of a flash in the pan kind of thing, but I genuinely liked it, so I'm kind of disappointed it's not there anymore. In terms of this particular buy, what I would say is that for me, 5mm polycarbonate plate in terms of feel and flexibility is broadly the same as 1.5mm Alu. Now, obviously, the sound profile is very different because it's 5mm and it's polycarbonate, but in terms of feel, it feels roughly the same in terms of flexibility and bottom-out experience as 1.5mm aluminium would do. So I think that's the closest that we can probably describe. Would you agree with that, Brian? Because I know you tried out this plate as well before we shipped it back to Pona and Zondat.
Yeah, I would say that's probably pretty accurate. If anything, it's probably a little bit more flexy than 1.5mm aluminum, if I'd say. But let's take a look at some of the specs here. So obviously 5mm, it's going to be sandblasted polycarbonate, and if you couldn't tell by the logo on the picture, it's a little hard to tell. This is Zondat's logo for Noxay, and this is actually the Ion logo. So this is the kind of company that Pona runs his branding through. So it's kind of a collab between them. It's I'm not going to call it universal, but it's relatively universal. We do have support for the split backspace or normal backspace. You have support for split or unsplit right shift, step or unstepped caps lock, and you do have your kind of full array of bottom row layouts there as well. So I think it would be cool to maybe see this in a more fixed plate style, like we're seeing a little bit more on the market these days. Sure. I think it's pretty much objective at this point that fixed plate is better. In terms of pure typing bliss and experience, it's just a better product. But obviously, you do have to try to tweak some things, and it's hard, right? Because when you do a fixed plate, you are going to limit some people. You could probably do a couple layouts, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be limiting people on what layouts they're going to use. Some people might not use the layouts that you're launching, so you might miss out on a sale there. So it's kind of hard to tell from a sales perspective, but. I would have liked to see a fixed layout plate in this format personally.
Yeah, I think I'd kind of agree. Fixed layout is probably the way that the community's going. In the long term, I think that's where we'll probably end up, and what you probably end up with is you'll probably end up with 2 or 3 different plate options, or plate files being available from the group by runners. In terms of this particular product, I know that Pona has already done a design for an ISO version, because ISO Returns and I have been askings on that if he'll run one for us and the EU community. So I think that's running in parallel as well. There's a bit of an interest check that ISO Returns is running to see if we can get 20 people who want one of these in the ISO layout. So if you do want that and you're watching in the EU, hit up myself or ISO Returns for access to that interest check, and we'll share that. But I think you're right, Brian. I think moving towards more fixed layouts is probably where we're going to do. That being said, I think that this is probably one of the better ways of doing universal plates, especially for the bottom row, than what we've seen elsewhere before. Instead of having that really open bottom row, what we've got here is quite a defined. Yeah. This is where your keycap switches go. It's quite. I know there's options in there, but it's a lot more fixed and it's a lot more robust, I would say, than a lot of other options.
Certainly, yeah. This is by far not the worst way to do a universal attempt.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's hard to do that long open strip on the bottom right with polycarbonate, though. I feel like it's a little risky, because you have like very little support there. It's pretty easy to potentially snap or break, just because it would be so thin on those particular points. So you kind of have to do it this way, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I think even if we did this with aluminium plates and other metals and other materials as well, I think this would be a better way of doing a universal layout. So I think what we'll end up with in the community is rather than necessarily just fixed plates, we'll either go one of 2 ways. Either designers will do a fixed ANSI plate and potentially fixed ISO plate, and then plate files are open to people who want to tweak and change that, or we'll get into what are these kind of semi-universal ANSI or semi-universal ISO fixed layouts, or semi-fixed layouts, whatever you want to call them, whereby you have a couple of options on the bottom row, but it's broadly fixed for the rest of the board, and there's a lot more support there as well. I think it's definitely the way to go if you want to do universal support. So I think this is kind of like that modern iteration of universal.
Yeah. So, anyways, this plate is going to run you $60, which I think is reasonable. It's pretty reasonable. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's fine. I think it's well within the expected price range there.
I think what we have to remember, though, is that these are CNC milled, so that you switches clip in, and there's support for stabilizer wires underneath and all that kind of stuff.
They actually clip in?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see that.
Okay, my apologies then. I would say the price is good then. That is a good feature I like to see on the thicker plates, because a lot of times on the thicker plates you don't get that feature. So it does obviously cost more time and money to actually accomplish that. So sorry then for misspeaking. I didn't realize that it had the switches that actually clipped in there. That's a feature that you should list on this, honestly. Like that's kind of a big deal in my eyes.
Yeah, I genuinely don't think that anyone should run thick plates like this without having that opportunity to clip switches in. I think it's the only way you should do it, because otherwise it doesn't work as well, and soldering the boards isn't as easy, and that experience is quite poor. So I think this is definitely the right way to do it, is to have those the plates CNC milled, so it will accept switches, and it'll have cutouts for stabilizer wires underneath and things like that as well. I think it's definitely the right way to do it.
Yeah, and just like the T60 pre-order / group buy, big surprise, this also starts at the same time, which is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, or 2 p.m. Pacific, or 10 p.m. in the UK.
Yeah,
so
11 p.m. in the EU.
Another 3-month lead time there, which is fairly normal. The MOQ is going to be 20, but a max of 40 is going to be capped, so not a whole lot of these either. These will probably sell out, I imagine.
I think this will go quite quick. Oh, Discord again.
Oh no.
Oh, am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it cut out for a second there. I thought it was gone then.
All right. Well, we should probably try to move things along here, just in case Discord decides to play with us a little bit more.
Should we move into the last topic on our news document then?
Yeah, let's move into the last topic here. So this is a keyboard powder coating service, which is ran by not Zesty Salsa of the Top Clack Discord. Apparently, I think on Reddit he goes by Aris J. That's what that is. So this is, if you're familiar with Tyson's Cerakoting service that he's been kind of doing for a while, It's a similar service to that. He's basically acting as a liaison that will take your board in to get powder coated at a shop that's local to him. He's had work done by it. He has pictures of some of the work that they've done, and he thinks it's of high enough quality to try to run a service for it. So if you wanted a board powder coated, this could be an option for you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I like that we're getting these service options where we can do different things within the community. I've had stuff powder coated in the past, not just for keyboards, but for other things as well. I do a lot of work with cars and things. It's a very robust material. It's really tough stuff. Is powder coating? It's difficult to damage and scratch. It's quite tough from that perspective. One thing is worth bearing in mind, and he does put this in a disclaimer as well, is that adding powder coating does add material and physical thickness to tolerances. So it adds a really thick layer. I mean, we weren't talking like 0.5 millimeter here, but it's thicker than what anodization or Cerakote would be. So that is worth bearing in mind, that if you've got something with quite tight tolerances already, this might be affected, and it might affect how your keyboard fits back together. So if you have something like with a weight and in the base, for example, that might not fit quite as easily. You might have to file that down on some of the internal surfaces to get that all to fit back together as well. It's just worth bearing that in mind. That being said, I think it's really good that we can have another service for colouring and options for effectively what is a method of painting our keyboards and coming up with a different different process and different opportunities for that. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about the price here. So he does estimate the overall price to be about $125. That is not including shipping, which you will be paying for both ways. So the service fee for the actual powder coating is $95, and you also have to pay for the powder for the powder coating, which is around $30. He says. So you have to pay both those things, and also obviously pay to ship it to him and back to you. So you're looking at $125 for the procedure, then plus shipping both ways. So you're probably looking at $150+ depending on the board that you're sending in. What do we think about that price? So what is anyone in the chat, or maybe Jay, what is the price currently on Tyson's Cerakote service? Because I remember when he started out, it was really, really inexpensive, as low as like $30.
Yeah. I think it's gone up a little bit. Now, it is worth bearing in mind that I'm trying to find his Discord server to double check. It is worth bearing in mind that the kind of solvents and things that you use for Cerakote are cheaper to buy than what powder coating powders are, and I know that from personal experience when dealing with a lot of car stuff in the back end that I've done previously as well. So I can't remember what Tyson's prices are, but they are significantly different to this. But you have to remember it's a very different material.
For sure.
Yeah. It's a different process, and although the actual process is kind of similar, you kind of spray on a charged particle and then you bake it in an oven. That's kind of the same process. This is very much different in terms of the actual materials you're using to do it. That being said, there's two different ways you can do powder coating. There's kind of like industrial powder coating, and then there's decorative powder coating. I assume that this is going to be a decorative powder coating because industrial stuff is significantly cheaper, but the quality is significantly worse. So I imagine this is going to be very similar to the type of stuff that you get done for all the stuff I get done for cars, like front grills and things like that. And kind of like a lot of mass-produced bicycle frames as well are powder coated these days. So I imagine it's going to be broadly similar in finish and quality to that as well. Excuse me.
Yeah. So I
think
it's looking like the price may be seemingly high, but you could get a very nice finish for your keyboard. So depending on who you are, that could be really good. Obviously, there's potential points of failure. There's potential failure rate, and I think he does have the price a little higher to kind of buffer that a little bit, so that way if a board needs to be redone, it can be done that way and not have it be like a really big deal. Yeah,
for sure. I think it all depends on what you want from a finish. I mean, in terms of the price, it might be higher than Cerakote, but it is a very different finish, and if you prefer this, then it's just because stuff costs more to do this process than what it does to do other processes. So it's all born through that perspective.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. If anyone wants to get a powder coating done on their keyboards or products, then you might consider hitting up this fine gentleman here. He does have a Discord server linked here, but I don't see like a form or anything. So maybe you have to order straight from the Discord.
Oh no, there's a service procedure that says fill out this form. There's some bullet
Oh,
points.
I see it now. Okay,
points.
yeah, that's. Yeah. Oh wow, how did I miss that? All right.
I don't know because it's quite plain to see there, Brian. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm just so focused on crevices right now that I can't really think straight.
Yeah. Crevice forms when?
Yeah. Can you powder coat crevices?
I don't know. Not Zesty Salsa. Please tell us if you can powder coat crevices for us.
Oh boy. Anyways, yeah, there you go. There's a forum and a Discord server if you guys are interested in the powder coating service. Check that out, guys.
Absolutely. Okay,
right.
So in a second, we're going to run into our Q&A section. So if you've got any questions, please do start to tag us in chat and let us know what questions you've got that you'd like us to answer today. But before we do that, we're just going to jump into our sponsor segment. So, Brian, do you want to kick us off with that?
Sure, absolutely. So first up, we have ZealPC.net, aka Zeal Generation, who has all sorts of switches in stock as usual. And if you maybe be living under a rock and you didn't see, he's actually running a bit of a sale right now. So you can get most of the switches, not all of them, but most of them for 20% off right now, which is pretty cool. So you get Telios and Zelios that are down to 80 cents a switch, and you get Xylence and Helios, which are down to 96 cents a switch. So 20% off sale there. He does still have Roselios and Securios in stock, which those are probably running pretty low on stock soon. Unfortunately, those are not part of the sale. I kind of wish they would have been, but you still get the rest of the lineup for pretty cheap. Of course, you still get free shipping if your orders are over $150, if you're in the US and Canada, and the rest of the world is $200 or more. You can change your currency exchange over here. That way you don't have to pay in USD, so you can actually save a little bit of fees there if you're a little bit more international. Make sure you check that out. And consider using our affiliate code if you're going to be joining some of these Switch sales during the 20% off sale, which is zealpc.net/topclack. So that helps us out way more than you might think. So if you are going to be getting some Switches for the sale, please consider using that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just before we jump on to Novel Keys, which is our next sponsor, just shout out to Japanese Horror Writer with the 1,000 bits donation. Thank you very much for that, dude. We genuinely appreciate that. But looking at Novel Keys, if you do want to support Mike and the store, they've got a number of different things today which we'd like to talk about. First up, they've got some really great new shirts. I know we've talked about these previously, but they've got some new T-shirts with the great logo over the left side. They've also got the baseball kind of top, which I really love, and I'm going to order one. I keep forgetting to. But the baseball T-shirt with that whole kind of baseball kind of logo across there saying Novel Keys is really, really cool. I really like that top, so I'm definitely going to pick those up. If key sets are more your thing, then check out DSA Galactic Empire. This is the Star Wars themed, officially licensed Star Wars themed Aurebesh set. It is in stock at the moment, as far as I'm aware, and you can buy that and have it shipped almost immediately. Plenty of layout support in there as well. Whether you're an ISO user, full TKL user, 100% user, whatever you are, there's pretty much coverage for everything in there. And bear in mind that it is officially licensed by Disney to use the Star Wars license as well. Other than that, Novel Keys also has a ton of different switches available for you to buy as well. So if you want any of the Kale sample packs or any of the box switches, feel free to go and check all those out, guys. Any switch needs that you have, you can probably pick it up from Mike. He's got a ton of stuff in stock. He's also got the phase switches in stock, which are a really nice altered linear, Gatoron recolored linear as well, which is available at the minute too. And I know Brian just jumped onto it a second ago, but if you do want one of the Novel Keys beer bottle openers, they are really cool. I've got one somewhere lying around. I think it's here. Yeah, there we go. These are really cool. Mine has had a ton of usage already, so really good paraphernalia if you're interested in little novelty items.
Yeah. I've already used mine a couple times. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, they are cool. Oh, you've got one as well. Yeah, they are cool. Yeah.
No, it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But while you're there, make sure to use promo code CLACKERS. That's just one word. That'll get you 5% off of in-stock items, and then it'll show that you A, might love Top Clack, and B, might love Novel Keys. So make sure to use that promo code when you can to show some love. Next up, we have Kono.store, where you can find all sorts of Input Club-based products and designs. Currently, they are running group buys for SA Arcane, which is looking pretty good. You can still get on that if this page would load. All right, there you go. So that starts at $100 for your base kit for SA Arcane. You can also still get in, oh my gosh, of course it's not going to be on the first page, so I'm going to have to look for it. Oh my god, isn't Granite still going? I'm about to look really stupid, guys. All right, so bam, Granite is still going. They just removed it from the front page before I checked. That starts at $70. That's a pretty nice looking set with lots of different kit options. You can check those out, as well as the Keystone series of keyboards. We've been kind of waiting on this. This is a little bit more of an interest check going on right now. You can join the waitlist for that. This has the new Silo Hall Effect analog switch line, which has been designed by Hata of Input Club. Really looking forward to those. Really hoping to get our hands on a sample in the very near future, hopefully. I think they've already had Switch samples coming in, so really hoping to pick up one of those in the near future.
Sounds good. Again, I'm also interested in seeing what those Keystone switches look like and feel like as well. Moving on to KBDfans. If you want to support our Asian Chinese brethren, then you can look at picking up SA Leviathan. There is 1 day left on this key set. I know One Creative Mind was in chat earlier on. He's the designer of this set. There's a day left on this group buy. It looks great. It looks fantastic. Lots of dark colors, lots of great novelties and kits. There's support for pretty much everything you could ever possibly want, and it's great to see that Max Keys have finally introduced new layout keys, including ISO and all of the other bits and pieces as well. And I know Brian's spamming that all button. I can see him wiping over that, which is a really cool feature. If you do want every single kit for $435, just click one button and it's yours. It's in the bag. It's that easy to do. So feel free to check that out if you like. The other group buy that KBDfans have going on at the moment is for the AIO3 developed switch opener. So this does both your Kale variants and your standard MX variants as well. So this is a 2-in-1 prism switch opener. It's got a really unique design, really unique shape. Comes in a variety of different colors. And it is only $28, but that's got just over 3 days left on it as well, guys. So if you are interested in picking one of those up, please don't wait around too long. Other than that, KBDfans does have a number of different kits across the rest of their store. So if you're interested in anything that's DIY built or there's something that you want to build, they have some great entry-level offerings from 40% boards to 60% boards. The KBD67 was something that I really liked from last year. In fact, I have one to build of my own personal boards at some point soon. But they have pretty much every layout you could want in a board available, from right up to 80% and 19 times and God knows what else. They've got all sorts of different things on there, as well as different keycaps. Starting to get some new novelties on there as well, and multiple components if you have something that needs replacing. So feel free to go and check those out, guys.
Yep, absolutely. Last but not least, we have Dixiemech, which you can find over at dixiemech.com/topclack. That is an affiliate link, and that'll get you well, it won't get you a discount, but it'll give us a little bit of a kickback on your purchase, thankfully, which helps. And he's got a new store layout kind of going on here, which I actually haven't really navigated on a whole lot lately, so this is going to be kind of fun for me as well. I'm curious to see what these highlighted clickable things are supposed to be. Oh my gosh! So it. I see. This is kind of fun. I haven't seen this yet.
Do you like that?
Yeah. So
wherever you hover, it gives you the.
Yeah, so this is the GMK Mizu group buy, which is still ongoing, but it does close soon. So you should get on that while you can if you haven't already. You can you click on this little that brings up the novelty. This brings up the key set. This brings up the desk. That is so clever. That is so cute and intuitive. I love that, Dixie. Anyways, yeah, like I said, GMK Mizu still going on, but it does close pretty soon. About 6 days left on the 29th of this month. You can get the base kit for only $135, so relatively inexpensive base kit, but it looks amazing and it has a fair amount of compatibility. There's a decent novelties set there as well, and of course there's a spacebar and icons kind of kit for you people as well. So aside from that, he also has a couple other things going on, including the group buy for SA Magic City, which I don't think he actually calls it a group buy. He calls it a small batch, which I think, as a bourbon lover, I love that term. So you can also hop in on SA Magic City if you're in on that. Pretty nice looking set, only $149, gets you a fair amount of compatibility there too, and it looks pretty darn nice. And last but not least, he has the Nutcracker V2 going on right now too, which is the collaboration with TYL Labs over by I. Lewis. So this is another one of those pretty hot-hitting, awesome-looking switch openers on the market now. It is dual function, so it does do MX and KL options. I think it looks pretty darn nice. $35. You can get it in blue, pink, or purple. I'm glad it comes with a pink option. I think that pink looks freaking amazing. And yeah, so maybe check that out. And if you are purchasing anything from Dixiemech or joining one of the amazing group buys, make sure to use our affiliate link if you like us. Dixiemech.com, /TopClack.
Yeah, absolutely. So feel free to support us, guys. We do get a small kickback, but every little helps and it keeps the channel growing. So thank you very much for your support on that. Okay, so that does move us back into our Q&A section. I think the first thing, Brian, we missed so many subs and things earlier on. Is there any chance we can just regroup through those? And while Brian does that, if you've got any questions for us, feel free to post them in chat and we'll get ready to answer those questions, guys.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an easy way to do it on OBS, but I can do it on Twitch. Just give me a second.
We'll let Brian find out the list because I'm sure there's a few people.
This is the part of the show, Jay, where you fill time while I do this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you find that out and we'll do it. So if you've got any questions, guys, do post them up in chat. Dixie pointing out that we can enlarge the photos on his site as well. Yeah. I think Brian ended up doing that. We'll get there. I'm just scrolling through to see if there was any questions. You guys don't post questions when we ask you to.
That's fine. Sometimes the sponsor spot takes like 5 minutes anyway, so like they kind of get lost in chat. It's fine. Yeah. But now is a good time for Q&A, guys. If you have questions, we have answers hopefully at TopClag. Use that tag. It helps us a lot when we're scanning through the chat. Also, quick shout out to Damage Point, who did sub at Tier 1 for 3 months. Says Seattle Meetup Hype. He subbed earlier. Thank you very much for that. Mighty JR Gaming. I'm sorry, that was a follow, but thanks for the follow. We don't usually call those out because there's usually too many of them. I'm going through the activity feed on Twitch, so I'm trying to sort them out a little bit.
Trying to work out which ones
I think that was actually all we missed, I think, as well as Mountain Block's cheered 202 bits that I think we might have missed, so thank you very much for that.
I feel like there were some other ones that we missed. Well, I'm sure there were.
I feel like you're wrong. According to Twitch, you're wrong. Not that I always trust Twitch either, but that's fine.
Okay.
While Jay tries to,
I know so Code Monkey Key jump up, and there was a couple of other names I saw as well. So perhaps I am wrong. But I could have sworn that I'd seen some others. I'm just gonna have a look on Streamlabs, see if I can see them on there.
Well, while Jay tries to probably incorrectly prove me wrong, Itchy Balzac is asking, how do we send you a new product to check out? It depends on what it is. Brian, all right? Yeah, you can PM either of us on Discord. That works. I mean, if you really want to be super official, you can send us an email at topclack@gmail.com. But it's pretty easy to get a hold of us regardless of what you want to do. Yeah, absolutely. And we're always open to a chat as well, guys. So if you guys have got anything you want to talk about, do feel free to hit Brian and I up to have any conversations that you might like to as well. We're both really open with that kind of stuff. So yeah. Yep. Kakan is asking, can you answer my question? Yes, we can answer your question. I don't know what your question is, but I just answered. You just need to tell us what the question is. I just answered his question. Oh yeah, so we should ignore any further posts from him, right? Yeah, that's how it works. That's pretty mean. Yeah, it is mean. I don't mean it. I could never be that mean to anyone. He says, "God damn it." Wasser is asking for recommendations on backlit keycap sets. I don't think there exists a single backlit keycap set on the market that I would want to recommend to someone. I think I would probably agree with that statement. I can only think of one or two off the top of my head, and I wouldn't want anyone using them because they're not very good. Yeah, I think that if you want quality, you tend to need to move away from the backlit keycap options. Yeah, it's a difficult one to answer. There's nothing there that I would want to personally recommend. There's like that Vortex backlit. They call it double shot PBT because it's PBT that's been shot inlay with Palm. So that way you get that's probably the lesser of the like 2 or 3 evils on the market right now, but they're really not that good. Like it's OEM profile, which you may or may not like. That's not really a problem. It's really grainy PBT. I am not a fan of that personally. They get dirty super easily. It's really bad texture. I don't like them at all. But I think they're only like $30 or $40. The Vortex double shot PBT shine through. They'd probably have it on like Amazon or something. But I would just not buy them. I would just try to buy a nicer set that doesn't offer Legend backlit.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. Cold YZ says, I've seen tons of different offerings in group buys for multiple types of plates. What are your favourite plate materials and why? Do you want to start off on this one, Brian, or do you want me to go first?
I can start. That's a good question, by the way. Definitely a good question.
A good question, yeah.
I think that my opinion would definitely be plastic plates. I've been a lot more on the plastic plate train lately, whether it be palm or carbon fiber, or something that's just not metal, right? Like aluminum is very popular in our community, brass incredibly popular in our community, copper gaining a lot of momentum as well, steel not so much popular anymore, but it used to be. It's suffice to say, metal plates have kind of always been the norm. And while they're all fine and they all have their own, slightly unique feels and nuances and differences in sound, I think they're all fine. I do think that the plastic plates tend to lend to a way more interesting and better typing experience, particularly if you like more flexible typing experiences. Polycarbonate, very flexible, has a really nice, rich pop when you bottom out. I love that sound. It's really cool. Palm is probably my favorite right now, even though I've only experienced it on one board, the All Palm Sirius. It's been an absolute treat to use. It's a nice, deep, rich, kind of creamy bottom out, which is a really weird way to convey sound, but it's just freaking lovely, and I've been really, really enjoying it lately. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've kind of moved away from metal plates. They're still fine, they're still good, but I think the plastic and just other non-metal plates have been way more interesting lately in the community.
Sure. I think I broadly agree with you, to be honest. I think the more materials we have and try, the better. It's the options and opportunities for us to try new things are great. My current favourite plate material is carbon fibre because it's really nice and firm, which is the typing experience that I like. But at the same time, it removes any of that opportunity for ping from a metal plate. So I'm really, really liking carbon fibre. If you prefer a firmer typing experience, carbon fibre's up there. One of the other interesting things that I've seen a lot recently is people moving into rubberized plates as well. So I know that we've seen rubberized gaskets and things like that, but I know that Max and Chris Wise, Max from Cable Car Designs, they've been experimenting with rubber plates, actually having laser cut rubber used as plates in different varying thicknesses and strengths and weights and resistances, and that's looking really, really promising as well. That really adds a different, very unique sound profile to what switches sound like, and depending on what type of material and how dense and thick it is and what the particular benefits of that material are, you can really customize the typing experience as well. As you can have it really soft, or you can have it quite firm as well, depending on how you choose the material. So the more opportunities we can see for stuff like that, and as Brian says, I'm excited to try out POM plates. It's something I've not tried yet. I have tried out polycarbonate ones, but I haven't tried out POM as yet. That's something I want to get into and trying all of those out. But the more opportunities we have, the more materials we have out there, the better.
Yeah, definitely. 10 Strong with a good question. I always love these if you're stranded on a desert island questions.
Yeah.
He asks, if you had to have 3 switches for the rest of your boards, what 3 switches would you take? So basically, what are the 3 switches we like enough to actually use exclusively? Do you want to start us out, Jay?
Yeah, so I think if I was going to pick, what I'd do is I would probably pick a linear, a tactile, and a silent switch. Just because those are the 3 broad categories I tend to work from. For linear, I would probably pick Gator on inks, just because I really like the feel and the sound profile and the look of them. They're probably my favourite switch right now. For tactiles, I would probably go with Zelio V2s, just because I really like that tactile feel to them, and the way that the V2 lineup changes from the V1 lineup is so impressive that I couldn't turn them down. And then for the silent switch, it would be Helios, just because they're probably the best silent switch on the market right now.
Yeah. I'd probably break it into categories as well. I would pass on a silent one, I think, because I usually don't need that. I would go a little bit bolder and say I'd choose a xikii in there as well. Even though if it's not like systematically like one of my favorite switches, I think either box jades, box navies, or box pinks. Any of those three, I think I'd keep in my top three, just because I think it does provide a lot of variety, and it is fun to use from time to time. But I think my top two main go-tos would definitely be, right now, I'd probably go with the Novel Keys Creams, and I would go with the Zealios V2. Like you mentioned, the change between the V1 and the V2 has just been so dramatic and so positive in my eyes. And every time I ask someone what they think about it, they say it's like way better, pretty much. So it's pretty clear that the V2 lineup for the Zeal, Zealios, and Xylence are really, really good, and I definitely agree with that. So that would be my tactile option. I'd probably go with 67 gram on that. And then the Novel Keys Creams. Then throw some box pinks in there for some variety. Then those are going to be my three.
Nice.
Or wait, is Topra counting there? Does it have to be an MX switch?
Well, see, I don't disagree that Topra is mechanical, but
it's not a switch.
I'm not sure I call it a switch. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a switch. It's mechanical, but it's not a switch. So yeah, I think you're excused on that one. Thank you.
Okay. Moment.
Opdoc does have a bit of a question. He doesn't tag us, but he does say he's been trying to get co-workers into mechs a lot lately, and so many people are loving the hobby. The one downside to explain all these awesome sets, boards, brass, keycap, notebooks, etc., are either pretty expensive or they may take 6 months to take delivery. Most people just assume that they all look the same, minus the colours changing, so I could understand the view. How do you all typically explain this to people who are newer to the community? So I think the way that I do it is it's all based on, preference and customizability, right? So instead of having something bought off the shelf that everyone can have, that doesn't fit half of your requirements but fits some other bits, and you just make do, what the beauty of this hobby is you can actually go in right at that ground level, spend as much or as little as you want to do, and have something that's truly customized to you in terms of layout, in terms of color scheme, in terms of which particular keys you want to use and size of keys and what kind of profile of keycaps you want to use. It's the opportunity to really customize your experience for what is effectively a tool you're using every day. Most of us in the community usually use a keyboard for work. I use one for 8 hours a day. I know Brian, you might not in your particular, but I know you use it for a lot.
I still spend 8 hours a day or more on a keyboard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But it's more about having that tool, because that's what it is. It might be classed as a peripheral or whatever else, but these days it's the modern tool, And if you're a programmer or something similar, or you work in that kind of industry like I do, it's a tool that you're going to use so often, and you wouldn't, as a mechanic, have poor quality spanners, or you wouldn't, as a musician, have a poor quality instrument. You might spend more or less, but you would truly customize that experience, and that is what is really good about the community. Yeah, so there's wait times, but hey, we're a small community. It's not like everything could be in stock yet. We have to accept that, but we have that really beautiful opportunity to build what we want, how we want it, and that's what I really love about the community.
Yeah, I think that's largely kind of probably the best way to explain it. I would like to add on a little bit to that. I think that the exoticism around both things like aesthetics, customizability, ergonomics, just being able to tailor everything pretty much exactly how you want it is really the main draw. But as for the question of how do you explain people that are new to the community, the first thing I do is I try to gauge them on how much they care. Because I like keyboards a lot. I run a keyboard live stream, guys. So, obviously, I have a pretty big passion about this, and I'm sure Jay feels the same. Like, keyboards are a huge part of our lives, and they often can be the main part of our lives. And that's pretty crazy to think about, and obviously normal people are going to look at you like you're an absolute madman, because this is, quote-unquote, just a hobby or whatever. But, for a lot of us, it's more than that. Like, you guys are watching a keyboard live stream right now. Like, you're just watching two guys talk about keyboards. That's really all you're doing. And but like, you like it and you might enjoy it, and that's cool, and that's what we're here for. So it's like, it's hard, but I try to gauge them as the conversation starts, because if they don't have a genuine curiosity, if they're not actually caring what I have to say, I'm not going to waste my time, because I can say a lot. It'll take me a while. I'll be articulate about it. I'll type out freaking novel if I have to reply to a single question. But I don't want to waste my time if they're not actually going to, intake my information in a genuine and or positive way.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's really fair. Yeah.
Legolandius is asking thoughts on copper as a build material, case or plate. This will probably be a better question for you because I don't have a copper case, and the first copper plate that I haven't used yet. So I am pretty new to copper as a material.
Yeah. Okay. So a plate is probably easier to answer. So as a plate, I think it is fine. It feels like brass in terms of its feel. It's very similar to brass. The sound is slightly different. It's probably got a little bit of a higher timbre to it in terms of sound, but I think it's perfectly fine. I've got it in my X75 prototype that's just here. Brian's showing a copper plate off there. Copper's great. I think it's fine plate material. In terms of a case material, this is where it gets quite interesting because copper has this wonderful ability to get patina in a really unique way. As it oxidizes, it tends to get this really nice greenish quality to it and have this really lovely tint. I think copper is a fantastic case material, and it's one that's often overlooked. So I know of 2 people who've had custom copper boards made. I've not. Well, I kind of have one. I'll come on to that in a second. But both Chris Wires and Jamos from the UK community, they've got a. So Chris Wires has got a full copper case Mech Mini 2, which looks fantastic. He's patinaed that. It looks lovely. It looks great. And if you guys have watched Salvan's Instagram recently, Jamos from the UK community has had a UK 78 case made entirely out of copper as well. And that will be on stream soon, actually. He's going to bring that over and he's going to let me put it on stream in the next couple of weeks at some point as well. In terms of my experience with copper cases, I've got a copper kayak, which is basically a layered copper case, very similar to a canoe. I haven't built it as yet, but it will be something that I get on stream as well. But I think that copper is something we're overlooking in the community. If you like that whole patinaed metal kind of fatigued look and feel, and it's something that I would be all over. I've got the antique copper TX60 HHKB up there, and I absolutely love that. But the problem with it is it's just a finish. It's just a colour onto aluminium. It won't patina like real copper would do, which is what I want to see. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity and something we should use more of.
Cool. Brohemoth11 forgets to tag us, but he does ask, gonna build a Sirius with creams. What is the recommended lube for the palm switches? I feel like people are a little bit split on it in the community. Some people seem to be leaning really more towards the dry powder method, using PTFE powder. I know Walker, the kind of resident mad scientist in the Top Clack Discord, really does prefer the PTFE powder. I have not tried it, so I have no comment on it. My creams are lubed with 205 grade 0. I think they feel lovely, but I have no comment on the longevity of it. And I know that's something a lot of people are worried about because, you know, having an all palm switch is pretty unique. That's relatively new to the community as far as like consumer grade stuff goes. So, you know, we don't really know how long-term tests with the creams are going to go because they are a very new switch.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I've tried PTFE in mine. I was really happy with how that came out. I tend to use PTFE for Alp switches rather than any of the greases or oils that we use in other switches. But yeah, I personally prefer to edge on the PTFE side of it for creams at the minute until we've got some kind of longevity understanding of how the switches react over time to other materials. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Talisman Solutions says, invite them to watch an episode of Top Clack. He's referring to OpDoc's earlier question of how do you typically explain to people outside of the community or new to the community. That's funny.
Good answer. We should have said that. Damn.
That's yeah. Sometimes I don't read far enough in chat while we're doing questions. It's hard to like keep so many things going at once. Singapore is asking, I've recently been fortunate enough to acquire 2 antique metal boards, one copper and the other bronze, so I'm assuming he's referring to the TX finishes there. What sets of keycaps would look good on those types of boards? Ooh. You have one of those, don't you, Jay?
Yeah, I've got the copper TX60, which is up here. I've got GMK Stormtrooper on there, which I think looks quite good. I think with the copper and the brass finishes, what you have to do is you have to do one of 2 things. You have to either go really light and bright, so you're kind of differentiating away from the actual case itself. But when you have to do that quite neutrally, so you have to go with something that's quite white and minimalist. Or alternatively, you have to go for something that's quite dark. Such as a Dolch maybe or something like that. If you do something with too brighter colours, it detracts from that kind of finish of the copper and the brass. So if you use something like Taro, for example, I'm not quite sure that would work really well. Whereas if you use modern Dolch, or if you use normal Dolch, or if you use something like GMK Chocolatier, those would work really well with those colours, and you have to try and try and match it up a little bit better with that. Or you could go kind of left field and go something else that's quite dark, like GMK Phantom. That does look really good on the copper boards. I know Chris Swires has it on his, and I think that looks good. So yeah, I think that's kind of how you have to play it, and try not to use too many accent keys as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Sorry, I got a little lost in chat. Cold YZ is asking a question directed at Jay. I remember you were not as impressed with the GAT inks when you initially reviewed them, and now they are your fave. Do they greatly benefit from breaking them in and typing on them for a while? I
think I was quite positive about them, or I thought it was in the review.
You definitely enjoyed them.
Yeah. So my original review was in text Clack, which is kind of like our blog post almost. In fact, I've got the link just here. I'll post the link in case anyone wants to read it. But my first impressions were that they weren't quite as smooth as Telio, so you might have got a bit of negativity from that, but that wasn't meant to be negative. These switches are a really, really strong switch. I think they're great, and they do benefit a little bit from being broken in, like most switches do. You know, the more you use them, the better they feel over a bit of time. I think I used mine for about 8 to 12 solid hours of typing over the period of about a week. And then I lubed them, and then I rebuilt with them, and I thought that was a marked improvement. But they are definitely one of my favorite switches. They're purely from a sound and look and feel perspective. When you add all three of those together, they're really high up on my list of switches.
Yeah. I think they're also one of the better switches on the market right now. And saying that they're almost as smooth as Telios is pretty complimentary.
It's high praise.
Because Telios are arguably the smoothest linear that you can buy right now in the market. So having them be even almost as smooth is quite a feat.
Yeah, the other thing as well, which is really impressive on the inks, is that the spring's actually quite good as well. It's probably one of the few stock springs that I like. GAT yellows and GAT inks are the only two stock springs I'd even consider keeping in a switch. Normally I swap them out almost exclusively for something else, but those two switches I would consider keeping the stock spring in there as well. So if you're not into spring swapping or anything like that, that's another tick in the box for these.
Particle Decelerator is asking, on boards without arrow keys, what do you use? HJKL or JIKL, like normal key layout?
I don't. I use OKL and then semicolon.
I don't usually need arrow keys because I'm kind of a pleb.
Spreadsheets, man. Spreadsheets.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to need them more as I go into spreadsheets more. But I often use HHKB layout, so I'll have split right shift and I'll have that FN key there for my pinky. Then I can usually I usually use IJKL. Or like something very close, but I don't use arrow keys very often at the moment.
Yeah, I'm broadly the same. I just move it one over, so I do exactly the same with the function key, and then I use OKL, and then
yeah, that actually makes more sense now that I think about it.
But that's because I've got short fingers, because I've got short fats to be strong fingers, so that makes more sense to me. It's less to reach across.
Fair enough. All right, I think. Oh, never mind. We're almost caught up. Upath is asking, what do you think of the T1 drama? There is an EU vendor trying to make custom switches with the T1 factory. Should this be frowned upon, or is using the Stelio manufacturer fair game? Ooh, that's a deep question. Yeah, I think. Sorry, go on. You can start, Jay.
Okay. I think what we have to do is we have to split this into two separate incidents. First of all, the drama that we experienced in the community a couple of weeks ago, I think, irrespective of why it came about or how it came about, what we need to look at now is the journey we've gone on since the whole Stelios thing happened, and where we're up to now. Not about before or decisions that were made or what people did or didn't know, but from that moment when it became clear to now, what we've seen is that Way's doing the right things. He's disassociated himself with the T1 factory. He's removed all of their kind of products from his store. He's cancelled any group buys for outstanding products that he's been doing, and he's also offered to refund anyone who bought Stelios as well. I hate that name, actually. I don't want to call them Stelios.
It's a bad name.
Yeah, it is a terrible name, but I know the community's adopted it anyway. So he's refunding any consumer that bought those switches and was unaware of that situation over the past year. I think it was from May last year to May this year that he's covering that at considerable expense to him. And I don't know the details, but I'm sure there's some sort of reparation system going on in the background between Way and Gatoron and Zeal and all of that kind of stuff. Otherwise, there would be a lot more consternation in the community about it right now. So whilst we don't know the details, and we might never know the details, we have to assume that Zeal, Gatoron, and Way are all happy with the outcome that they've come to, and that they're going to continue to work together from that perspective. In terms of the second side of this, which is the EU vendor, and I'm not going to mention their name, I have seen this story about. I think it would be this is my personal opinion. I think it would be disingenuous to use that factory to do anything further for the community. They've clearly shown that they're not averse to infringing copyright material. They have clearly shown that they don't necessarily have the right moral standing for the community to be part of. And I would not want to be associated with that factory right now. If you were going to do it, now is not the time to do it. You'd want to let it die down and maybe approach it in 6-12 months' time when the community's had a chance to recover from the existing drama. So that's my view on it right now. If you're going to do it, it's not the right time, and I don't think it should be something we're encouraging. That being said, I'm all about rehabilitation. We should always try and make sure people are wanting to do the right thing for the community. So if we could get some promises from that company that they wanted to support the community in the right way, and it did have a bit of a fire break between all this drama and starting up this new venture, then maybe that's something we could consider in the future. But right now, I think it's the wrong time.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you completely hit the nail on the head. All right, and that's actually going to wrap us up on questions. I don't see any more, so we'll give you one last chance. Give you a couple more minutes here. If you have any last-minute questions before we head out for the night, make sure to get those in now at Top Clack using the tag there.
Yeah. Just while we're waiting for you guys to post any last-minute questions, just a reminder that I will be putting up a form straight after the show for you guys to come up with a naming suggestion for the top trump show I'm going to be doing with Mr Keebs on Sunday on my usual build stream slot. So that's where we're going to play top trumps in terms of keyboards. Our top 5 keyboards. We're going to play them off against each other and get you guys really involved in helping us decide who wins each round and ultimately who wins the show. And we'll kind of do a top Clack versus a few different guests that we'll have on over the next couple of months. We'll try and do one every 4 weeks or so. We might alternate between Brian doing the streams and myself, so you don't just get one side of our collections. We kind of integrate it a bit more. So and the other thing I'll do is I'll dig out a small prize. It won't be anything massive, but I'll try and dig out a small prize for whoever comes up with the best name as well from something from the collection. There's probably a ton of things I can pick out from there. So watch out for that link. We'll put it in the announcements on the Discord server straight after the show. I'll set that up before I go to bed, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, awesome. 10 Strong says, this is a flex competition, is it not?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
This is Jay just wanting to swing around his 100+ custom collection.
Hey, it wasn't me that started this. It was chat that started.
Oh, they offered
gave me the idea. Yeah. So chat started the idea.
It's fair game then.
Yeah, I didn't start it. So I'm just capitalizing on it, right? That's the American way, right? I'm just following in the American footsteps.
Wow. Yeah, see, I'm not going to be quite as good at you at this game because your collection is quite literally like 8 times larger than mine. So I only have like 15 to 20 boards.
No, I'm sure your list had like 25 on it last time I looked.
I've sold like 5 boards in the last month.
All right, okay. I think I've sold less than 5 boards in the past year.
I can't always afford to keep boards if I want new stuff, so...
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Mountain Blocks
Blocks... Oh yeah, there you go. You go. Yeah.
He asks, "Why are you guys so awesome?" As he donates 222 bits. Thank you for that.
Thank you, dude.
I think I do. You know what? I'm going to be egotistical here. We are awesome. We are awesome, Jay. He's right.
Yeah, right.
But I think that comes down to us just being genuine and real, which I don't think everyone always is. And like, real talk. We try to do the right thing whenever we can. And obviously, we're all human, we make mistakes, but that's why we like to give people second chances as well.
Yeah.
you know, we're here for keyboards and we're here for a wholesome community, and I don't really see any point to, you know, be here for negativity and hate. So
absolutely,
we try to form Top Clack around that a little bit more. But yes, as Theremin points out, I was born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe.
I was going to say there's some sort of, I can't remember what it is, but there's some sort of brand of cosmetics that fits that. But yeah, the only other thing I want to say on that is that the community gives us the opportunity to do what we do, and we're forever grateful for that as well. And it's a really humbling experience to you know, be watched by so many people every week and to just do what we love. So, you know, why would we be anything other than who we are? What you see with me, and I know it's the same with Brian, on stream is what you get. If any of you guys are coming to Seattle Meetup, you'll see that I'm identical in real life. I'm not trying to put on a persona or anything. This is just who we really are, and we love what we do, and we thank you guys for the opportunity to do it.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much for watching, for subscribing, for you know, donating bits, whatever, gifting subs. We definitely appreciate every last bit of it. Seriously, guys, it really does mean so much to us. So thank you all very much for the love. I don't see any more questions, so guys, this is going to be our little bit of an outro here. Below the stream, you can find links to our YouTube channel. You can check out our VODs of the shows here, as well as lots of other VODs and typing tests and things of that nature. You can also check out our official Discord link, which is also linked below. You can join there. You can come hang out with us and talk about whatever. We got channels for most things going on there. You want to play some games? You want to talk about food? You want to talk about PCs? And, you know, of course, you want to talk about keyboards. We're all there, just hanging out, doing our thing. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Any closing thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, just again, in terms of the stream, as I say, Mr Keebs is going to be joining me on Sunday. Brian, I think you've got another build stream scheduled for this week, if I remember rightly.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you for reminding me. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing a build stream. I'm going to do a teardown kind of rebuild of a TX 1800. I think it's the nice. 2, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so I'm doing an entirely rebuild on that with some lube Gateron inks. And then next week, I am slotted to finally build my Leaf 60. I'm not sure what switches I'm going to put in that, but I'm thinking tactile. So, you know, we'll get back on that. But stay tuned. Stream tomorrow with me, build stream. Probably 5 p.m. Pacific time is going to be what I'm aiming for. Stream on Sunday with Jay, 12 p.m. Pacific time is what he's shooting for. Yep. And
Mr. Keebs, special guest on there. That'd
special
be good
guest, Mr. Keebs. Heck yeah, that's gonna be really fun. I'm hoping. I gotta work that day. I work at noon that day. God, I can't even watch.
We'll be thinking of you, dude, while we're doing it, and you can watch the VOD. The VOD's always going to be.
I'll have to watch the VOD because this sounds like way too much fun. So make sure to come.
Be a ton of fun,
yeah, make sure to come check out that stream because that's going to be really fun and really different, really unique. We're going to love that. So
yeah, and it's going to give you guys an opportunity to be really engaged with us. We're going to have straw polls up saying who wins each round and stuff like that. So it's just going to be really fun and really engaging. It's just going to be something we can try out and see how it goes. So I'm really excited to do that. The week after, I will be back to my normal build stream, and we'll try and do, as I say, one of these a month. These kind of top trump shows if it works well. So the week after, I'll be back to do my build stream. It's probably going to be a strip down and rebuild of my LZGH, which I have to do, or it'll be the TR60 or the KBD67 or the Doro 67 if I get some of the issues fixed with it. But either way, I think on the next build stream I do, I'll be covering the issues I've had with the Doro as well, because I'm kind of disappointed with that at the minute. But yeah.
All right, cool. Also, the Catfish Man does sub with Twitch Prime for 2 months. Thank you very much for that, yeah. Catfish Man. Appreciate that, my guy. Nice. Yeah, there we have it. Thank you guys for showing up and hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it. And make sure to tune in tomorrow and Sunday and next Thursday and Friday and all the days. Tune in all the days. Join the Discord so you know what's going on. We should start posting our stream schedule, actually, the announcements channel of the Discord.
We should.
I don't know why we don't do that. Yeah. We're gonna do that, guys. We're gonna do that. Faza, thank you so much for the 100 bits. Appreciate that, man. You guys are all amazing. We'll catch you later tomorrow.
See you guys.